professor of the Ninja Academy. By teaching, I can become stronger. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51. Miyu's weakness is that she is too nice. Miyu followed the rules of the practical test and asked everyone to draw lots to decide the contestants, and then gave comments after each group of battles. The timing of the transformation technique was wrong, and it did not play the role it should have. The physical skills were sparse and the punching speed was too slow. How can such a bright split of a clone confuse the enemy? Your boxing skills are not good, your kicks are weak, your steps are loose, and your reaction is slow. How can such physical skills defeat the enemy? Miyu did not hold back, and could even be said to be strict. But Miyu did not talk nonsense, he said all the real problems. The students who were pointed out by Miyu all lowered their heads in shame. I know that you have done very well in the monthly exams, and your scores in both theory and practical combat are higher than other classes, but you can't slack off in your practice because of this. I may have said something harsh when I was commenting, and the teacher would like to say sorry to you first, but I am actually doing this for your own good. Both physical skills and ninjutsu are very important. If you don't practice physical skills well now, you will regret it when you fight the enemy in the future. After commenting on everyone, Miyu sighed and said, Teacher Miyu, I really didn't slack off. I spent the same amount of time on physical skills as I did on ninjutsu. It's just that the physical skills teacher doesn't teach as well as you do, so this is the case. Hongdu said, a little aggrieved. Yes, I am also studying hard, but the physical skills teacher's teaching is so difficult to understand. Gangzidi also complained. At first, when Miyu commented on him, Gangzidi was a little unhappy. He felt that Miyu was too strict. They were just first graders. After listening to Miyu's apology, Gangzidi felt that he was really a human being. Teacher Miyu cared so much about them. How could he think that Teacher Miyu was wrong? Teachers apologize to students. Gangzidi had never heard of such a thing, not to mention that Miyu didn't do anything to them. It was the teacher's duty. The words of Gangzidi and Hongdu resonated with the students in Class 1 of Grade 1, and they all followed suit to complain. Teacher Miyu, can you replace the taijutsu teacher? He really can't teach. His classes are boring and difficult to understand. Yes, with a taijutsu teacher like this, I feel like I can be a taijutsu teacher. Isn't it just telling people to go to the playground to run? Who can do that? How can you say that about Teacher Tanimura? He has been your teacher for 2 months. As a teacher, doesn't he want you to be stronger? Miyu began to speak for the taijutsu teacher. The taijutsu teacher in their class is Tanimura Toshihiro. Unlike Miyu, the newcomer, Tanimura Toshihiro has been teaching in the ninja school for 3 years. Although he has been teaching for 3 years, Tanimura Toshihiro's teaching level is hard to describe. As a teacher of the same class, Miyu has of course come into contact with Tanimura Toshihiro. It can only be said that he is the worst among the Chunin teachers. Moreover, as students in the same class, the teacher they come into contact with the most is Miyu. Comparing Miyu with Tanimura Toshihiro, Tanimura Toshihiro is even more completely defeated in all aspects. Teacher Miyu, we don't think there is a problem with his teaching attitude, we just think he is not capable enough. Shenu Izuma explained. Yes, the class next door is saying that we are good at ninjutsu, but no one has ever said that we are good at taijutsu. Someone gave an example. Usually, I didn't think there was a big problem, but I just felt that the taijutsu teacher's teaching was a bit poor and boring. But when they gathered together to discuss, the students in Class 1 felt something was wrong. This was not a boring problem, but it was related to the foundation of ninjas, strength. In actual combat assessments, students will not fight desperately, and teachers will take action if accidents occur, but they will not hold back when they encounter enemies on missions and battlefields. Miyu looked embarrassed, and finally sighed and said, don't say these things in front of Teacher Tanimura, and then practice more taijutsu on weekdays. If you really don't understand, find time to ask me. The students' dissatisfaction with Tanimura Toshihiro's teaching level was like a pile of gunpowder. and he only needed to act as a fuse. Seeing that Muyu was still speaking for the taijutsu teacher, the students in class 1 felt sorry for Muyu, and they felt that Muyu had a very good temper. We are all colleagues. Muyu teacher doesn't want to embarrass Tanimura teacher. Shisui's shadow clone thought to himself after seeing the scene. Shisui also felt that the level of the physical training teacher was very poor, far worse than the Uchiha enlightenment teacher, not to mention Muyu. After class, before leaving, Muyu reminded again, asking students not to say bad things about the physical training teacher to his face, and to be more considerate. The students all nodded and said yes. After Muyu left, Hongdu led the whole class to discuss how to change a physical training teacher. Didn't they say that the teacher will be changed as long as the grades are bad? Why don't we do poorly on purpose? A student suggested, but there is no separate physical training exam. Do we have to do poorly on purpose in the practical test? Then Muyu teacher who teaches ninjutsu will also be affected. Gangziti shook his head and said, that won't work. Muyu teacher is so good. I want him to teach me until I graduate. Hearing that it would be disadvantageous to Muyu, Hongdu directly rejected this proposal. Hongdu's words were recognized by everyone. Then let's all speak out the fact that he is not good at teaching and let him go on his own. Many people have broad ideas, and soon another person made a suggestion. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. This is not good. Didn't teacher Muyu tell us not to do this? This is good for teacher Muyu. Why not do it? Teacher Muyu is our class teacher. Only when we are strong can he have face. Gangziti felt that this was feasible. Changing the physical training teacher. They are stronger, which is also good for Muyu. I think the proposal is okay. If we force the teacher to leave, it is our problem, and it will not affect teacher Muyu. Shen Chu-yun also nodded, and if he insists on not leaving, I have another good idea. Shen Chu-yun thought of a clever plan. There is only more than a month left before the final exam. We will show the results of our study of ninjutsu and physical training in a more exaggerated way in the practical test, so that the school knows that the physical training teacher is really not good at teaching, but the overall results must be good, so that the school can pay attention to us. Shen Chu-yun reminded. Gangziti put his arm around Shenu Izumo's shoulders and said with a smile, it has to be you, Izumo. Everyone nodded in agreement, and felt that they should practice harder in the future, get good grades in the final exam, and change a physical training teacher. After lunch, Muyu did not return to his office, but went to the office next door, which was where Tanimura Toshihiro was. Teacher Haniu. As soon as Muyu entered the office, many teachers greeted him. Muyu responded with a smile one by one, then walked up to Tanimura Toshihiro, called Tanimura Toshihiro out and took him to an empty place on the pretext of having something to do. Teacher Tanimura, I'm sorry. Muyu apologized to Tanimura Toshihiro. Teacher Haniu, did something happen? Why is it like this all of a sudden? Tanimura Toshihiro was a little confused and didn't understand what happened. Chapter 52 There are differences among teachers. It's like this. Today, I conducted a practical test in the class during the morning class. Muyu told Tanimura Toshihiro what happened in class. However, Muyu slightly beautified the students' complaints. Otherwise they would be too aggressive. I just wanted to motivate them and make them practice more seriously. I didn't expect this to happen. I'm really sorry, Muyu said apologetically. Blame my harsh evaluation. I should be more tolerant of them. Muyu put all the blame on himself. Although it was Tanimura Toshihiro's poor teaching level that led to so many dissatisfaction among students, Muyu just ignited it. But Muyu didn't want his character to have flaws, so he chose to tell Tanimura Toshihiro everything directly, and admitted his mistakes to Tanimura Toshihiro, saying that he accidentally did something bad with good intentions. In this way, no matter how to sort out the ins and outs of the matter, Muyu would not be considered a person with ulterior motives. After all, he told Tanimura Toshihiro everything as soon as the incident happened. How could he, who cares so much about his colleagues, have any bad intentions? Tanimura Toshihiro didn't know what to say for a while. He knew in his heart that what the students said was right. His teaching level was indeed not as good as Muyu's, and was relatively average. But no one in the ninja school could compare with Muyu, a new teacher. He became famous in the whole school after teaching for 1 or 2 months, and was recognized by all the teachers and students in the school. He was also summoned and praised by the 3rd generation. It was just uncomfortable for an ordinary teacher like him to compare with Muyu. I have asked them not to criticize you, but after all, they are just children. It's hard to say what they will do in reality even if they agree on the surface. Muyu sighed, looking at Tanimura Toshihiro with an apologetic look. It's okay, I won't care. After all, they are just 6-year-old children, Tanimura Toshihiro said with a smile. Even if he was complained to his face by the students, Tanimura Toshihiro would not give up the position of physical training teacher of the 1st grade class, because the practical results of the 1st grade class were very good. Not only did they take the top 2 in the grade practical combat, but the class practical combat average score also led the 1st grade. Although he knew that such results had nothing to do with his teaching, this was a real result, and there was no need to worry about performance, and the bonus would only be more. Teacher Hanyu, I know you. You are definitely thinking about the students. Tanimura Toshihiro said that he knew Muyu's good intentions. Although such an accident happened, Tanimura Toshihiro still felt that Muyu was a good colleague who came to inform and apologize as soon as something happened. Originally, Tanimura Toshihiro's physical training class was in the morning, but he had something to do in the morning, so he switched with Muyu who was in the afternoon class. Muyu agreed immediately at that time. He had also heard about Muyu substituting for other teachers. It would be difficult for him to do so. Once or twice is fine, but who can stand it if the teacher finds him every week? With a high level of teaching, the class he led leads the whole grade, and he is praised by the 3rd generation. He is also handsome and has a good temper. Tanimura Toshihiro can only say that it is not unreasonable for those female teachers in the office to discuss Muyu every day. He knows his own business. Tanimura Toshihiro knows that the fundamental reason for this matter is that his teaching is indeed average, and he has been like this for so many years. But it is impossible for Tanimura Toshihiro to give up the position of physical training teacher of the 1st grade class. Isn't teaching in the ninja school just to make money without danger? This is an opportunity to get a large bonus without doing anything. Teacher Tanimura, I feel relieved if you think so. Muyu seemed to be much more relaxed and showed a gentle smile. Haha, let's go to the izakaya to drink together when we are free, Tanimura Toshihiro also said with a smile. Muyu smiled and nodded, and chatted with Tanimura Toshihiro about some meaningless topics and then found an excuse to leave. After Tanimura Toshihiro returned to the office, the female teacher next to him asked curiously, Teacher Tanimura, what does Mr. Hanyu want to talk to you about? Nothing, some trivial matters between students. But Mr. Hanyu is really a person who can't be said. Tanimura Toshihiro sat down and said, he was naturally embarrassed to say that his teaching level was not good and was criticized by students, but it was still good to use Muyu to find a topic with the female teacher. After the bell rang, Tanimura Toshihiro walked towards the 1st grade class. Walking into the classroom, Tanimura Toshihiro didn't feel any difference from before. As usual, he first taught some theoretical knowledge of taijutsu, and then took everyone out for a run. After running, Tanimura Toshihiro began to teach taijutsu routines. After teaching it once, he began to let the students practice freely. Tanimura teacher, can you teach it a few more times? I didn't quite understand it just now, Hongdu asked. These are the most basic. You don't understand because you haven't practiced enough. Just practice more, Tanimura Toshihiro said. But Muyu teacher always demonstrates it many times when teaching us, and it is broken down very finely. Hongdu retorted, how can ninjutsu and taijutsu be the same? Tanimura Toshihiro explained, but taijutsu also has many practical skills and details. Shouldn't these be explained in detail? Gangzidi asked. Tanimura Toshihiro was speechless. How could he have so many practical details and skills when he was a bad chunin teacher? He just perfunctorily said it. Then a large number of students asked various questions and made various suggestions. Stop, 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 you guys train first, and we'll ask questions next time. Being asked questions by dozens of people at the same time, Tanemura Toshihiro felt like his head was going to explode. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book underscore bar released this novel for the first time. Tanemura teacher, how about we all take a step back? We won't ask anymore, and you won't teach us anymore, Shinryu Izumo suggested. Tanemura Toshihiro had a question mark on his face, thinking that students are so stubborn now. Just ask the teacher to stop teaching. But there are more aggressive things to come. Tanemura teacher, I think you should retire early. I learned shuriken throwing from you, but I never hit the bullseye once. Tanemura teacher, since taking your taijutsu class, the whole grade has praised our class for learning ninjutsu well. Tanemura Toshihiro listened to the student's aggressive language and was a little stunned. He had been teaching for more than 3 years, and this was the first time he encountered such a situation. He thought that the classes he taught before didn't like him very much, but it was not to this extent. Tanemura Toshihiro was thankful that Miyu reminded him in advance, otherwise he would have been confused and didn't know what was going on. Ahem, everyone be quiet, I'll demonstrate it a few more times. Tanemura Toshihiro coughed twice and said helplessly. Then Tanemura Toshihiro found an interesting thing. The students were dissatisfied with him, but they didn't stop training, and even felt more serious than before. He was a little confused. Logically, how could they practice so actively if they hated him so much? Tanemura Toshihiro thought that Miyu's words worked, causing the students to not dare to slack off in practice even though they were dissatisfied with him. Tanemura Toshihiro was a little fortunate, and also envied Miyu's control over the class. Just get through this year. Tanemura Toshihiro didn't want to give up the position of physical training teacher in class 1. Maybe he could get an excellent teacher. If this was an ordinary class, and the students talked to him like this, he would educate a few students on the spot and let them know what the strength of a chunin is. But this is class 1, grade 1, the best class in the school. The more Tanemura Toshihiro taught, the more the students found that this teacher's level was really not good, and they strengthened their determination to change teachers. I felt a little dizzy when writing this chapter. If you have any questions, please ask and I will correct them tomorrow. Chapter 53, Give and Take Among Friends. At noon on Thursday, Tanemura Toshihiro found Miyu. Teacher Hanyu, the students in grade 1 are really too unreasonable. They are disturbing me and I can't attend class normally. Tanemura Toshihiro complained. He admitted that he underestimated the students in grade 1 when he said he didn't care before. He was exhausted after the whole afternoon of classes yesterday. He just wanted to finish school early. He didn't have classes with grade 1 on Thursday, but he did on Friday morning, in order to prevent the tragic experience on Wednesday afternoon from happening again on Friday. Tanemura Toshihiro found Miyu in advance, hoping to use Miyu's influence among students to help him. Alas, these kids, they obviously promised me. Miyu sighed and stood up for Tanemura Toshihiro. Teacher Tanemura, don't worry, I will definitely talk to them this afternoon and ask them not to go against you. Hearing Miyu's words, Tanemura Toshihiro was slightly relieved, but still a little worried and said, Teacher Hanyu, can you come over when I teach on Friday? I'm afraid they won't listen to you again. If the classes in class 1, grade 1, for the whole year are as torturous as Wednesday, he doesn't know if he can hold on until the bonus is issued. If 1 or 2 students deny it, he can pretend not to hear it, but if the whole class denies it at the same time, it is really a bit unbearable. No problem. Miyu nodded and agreed. I feel relieved with your guarantee, Teacher Hanyu. Tanemura Toshihiro smiled gratefully. After the matter was said, Tanemura Toshihiro turned around and went back to his office. Miyu looked at Tanemura Toshihiro's back as he left, thinking that Tanemura Toshihiro's 3 years of teaching were in vain, and he really couldn't grasp the psychology of students at all. If he went to Miyu to forcefully suppress the students would not hate Miyu, but would hate Tanemura Toshihiro even more, because from the perspective of the students, Miyu was helping a rookie colleague, which was fine and could even be said to be very kind. However, Tanemura Toshihiro was a rookie who didn't know he was a rookie. He had no self-awareness at all and tried to use the class teacher to pressure them. Miyu thought about it carefully and found that he might have wrongly blamed Tanemura Tashihiro. Because this is a ninja school, the situation is different from his previous life. If it weren't for the good grades of Class 1, Grade 1, Tanemura Tashihiro wouldn't have fallen to such a point. Shaking his head, Miyu stopped thinking about these insignificant things and walked towards his office. Since it was Tanemura Tashihiro's request, what else could he do? Would he refuse and be called stingy? No, of course he would agree and do it. After all, he was the recognized perfect colleague Hanyu Miyu. Miyu returned to the office and continued to practice calligraphy. Hey, Miyu teacher, you changed your pen. Weda Ai noticed that the pen Miyu was holding was not the same one as before. Well, it was given by a student. Miyu smiled and nodded. That's great. I haven't received any gifts from students in several years of teaching, Weda Ai said enviously. When Nagae heard what Weda Ai said, he thought that he finally found an opportunity to attack, and said, Weda, you don't think about what teacher Miyu's teaching level is, how popular he is among students, and you are a little ignorant compared to him. Weda Ai was speechless for a while. Lies don't hurt people, but the truth is the sharpest knife. Seeing Weda Ai's depressed look, Ikuge instantly felt refreshed. It should be that Weda teacher's students are more introverted. They want to send but dare not, Miyu said. Teacher Miyu is still good at talking, Weda Ai smiled. Although she knew that it was a comforting word, who doesn't like good words? Kimura Shanron looked at this scene and felt that it was not unreasonable for Ikuge to be single. When it was almost time for class, Miyu left the office and arrived at the classroom. He didn't rush to class, but first solved the things that Tanemura Tashihiro told him. Didn't I say that you shouldn't say bad things about Tanemura teacher in person, and you can't interfere with Tanemura teacher during class? Miyu said with a sad face. Teacher Miyu, did the physical training teacher come to you to complain? Gangzidi was a little speechless. This was the first time he heard a teacher complain about a student, and he exaggerated and made up stories. We didn't disturb him when he was teaching. We only persuaded him after he stopped. Shanuchi felt that they were wronged. How could they disturb the class? Although the teaching was indeed not good, no one criticized Tanemura Tashihiro when he taught. They all watched and studied seriously, and completed the training seriously. Everyone wanted to get a good grade in the final practical test, and they would definitely not resist training. You must not interfere with Tanemura teacher's class, and don't say bad things about him, Miyu reminded, without directly answering Gangzidi's question. The effect he wanted to achieve was that he didn't say that it was Tanemura Tashihiro who complained, but everyone knew that it was Tanemura Tashihiro who caused Miyu to preach. We know. The students nodded one after another, but they didn't know what to do at that time. Miyu nodded, smiled, and then began to lecture. The error-free version is read at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book underscore bar is the first to publish this novel. Lecture completed. Evaluation. A. Reward. Earth Escape Middle. Earth Dragon Bullet. After school, Miyu trained his disciples as usual, and returned to his home in the main city in the evening. This time, it was not Miyu who was being ate for free, but it was Miyu's turn to eat for free at Minato's house. We have eaten at your house so many times. It's embarrassing. Today, Miyu, you can take a day off and taste our cooking skills. Minato said so, and then took Miyu to his house. Minato and Kushina went to the battle together, and each of them made 2 dishes. Minato and Kushina asked Miyu to taste it first. Miyu originally wanted to say that everyone should eat together, but seeing the expectant eyes of the two, he knew what to do next. Miyu first tasted a grilled fish made by Minato. To be honest, this grilled fish is not the same as the grilled fish in Miyu's impression. It is not even a whole fish, it is just a palm-sized fish meat that is marinated and grilled directly with some salt. It preserves the original taste of the food very well, and it is very delicious, Miyu praised. However, Miyu did not only praise but also point out some shortcomings, such as not keeping a good grasp of the time when baking. Miyu gave similar comments on the next 4 dishes, but some dishes were praised more and criticized less, while some dishes were criticized more and praised less. Our dishes are not bad, right? Kushina said with a happy smile. Kushina was very happy that the dishes she made herself were recognized by a cooking master like Miyu. Minato and I are already practicing making braised pork, and you must come and try it when the time comes, Miyu, Kushina said. Miyu smiled and nodded, jokingly saying that it must be tasted to check the learning results of their two students. Then they ate and chatted. Minato also told Miyu that he had recently heard about Miyu from other jonins, saying that the children complained that he was not as good as the school's chunin teachers. Speaking of this topic, Kushina affirmed Miyu's teaching level. Although she had never seen what Miyu looked like when she was in class at the ninja school, she had seen Miyu explain how to cook. At this stage, Miyu was not overly modest, but praised Minato and Kushina, saying that if Minato became a teacher, he would definitely be a popular and good teacher, and Kushina would also, in such a good atmosphere. Everyone spent the dinner happily and achieved their respective goals. Chapter 54, Physical Training Must Be Well Practiced. On Friday morning, in the classroom of Class 1, Grade 1 of Ninja School, the students were discussing how to take the taijutsu class. Should we do the same as last time? A student asked. Not today. According to what teacher Miyu said yesterday, the taijutsu teacher must have exaggerated our actions in the taijutsu class to teacher Miyu, Shanu Chu-yun speculated. With teacher Miyu's personality, she might help others to the end and come to inspect during the taijutsu class. I also admire the taijutsu teacher. This is the first time I heard that the teacher reported the students. Gang Ziti complained. Reporting is fine, but also with private goods, which is even more speechless. Today, everyone should give face to teacher Miyu and not persuade them to quit, Shanu Chu-yun said. The students felt that Shanu Chu-yun's words made sense and decided to take the taijutsu class as Miyu's class. This taijutsu teacher is really annoying, Hongdu said with a depressed face. She was criticized by Miyu for not teaching taijutsu well, and she also reported to teacher Miyu to say bad things about her. The students in Class 1 nodded in agreement. Tanimura Tashihiro's operation successfully made them feel bad about Tanimura Tashihiro. After the bell rang, Tanimura Tashihiro came to the classroom. Seeing that the students were sitting quietly in their seats without talking, Tanimura Tashihiro was relieved. But he did not relax his vigilance, because the students did not show such strong aggression at the beginning of the last class. Let's go to the playground and run 3 laps to warm up. Tanimura Tashihiro coughed softly. The students followed Tanimura Tashihiro's instructions and went downstairs to the playground and started running. No one discussed Tanimura Tashihiro. After running, Tanimura Tashihiro began to teach the physical training routine. After teaching it twice, he let the students practice freely. During the period, no student said anything bad about Tanimura Tashihiro. Tanimura Tashihiro felt that this class was not the same group of students as the last class. I really have to treat Mr. Hanyu to a drink. Tanimura Tashihiro thanked Miyu in his heart. He knew what all these changes were. It must be Miyu who took action. Otherwise the students' performance would not be so different before and after. At this time, Miyu passed by the playground as requested by Tanimura Tashihiro. Miyu greeted Tanimura Tashihiro and stayed in the playground for a while. When the class was over, Kamatsuki Izumo said proudly, I was right, wasn't I? Teacher Miyu will definitely come. Then you won't take action in the future? Some students said unwillingly. The more Miyu helped Tanimura Tashihiro, the more they annoyed Tanimura Tashihiro. Of course not. Teacher Miyu is not so free every day. We can continue to take action in the next class, Kamatsuki Izumo said. In the second class of the 4th grade, Nohara Rin looked at Obito, who was scratching his head and doing his homework, and asked worriedly, Obito, what's wrong with you recently? You seem to be very diligent. You study every day when you have time. Although it is a good thing to study so hard, Obito's sudden love for theory made Nohara Rin a little worried. Hearing Nohara Rin's words, Obito's pen stopped, and he had the urge to cry. Is this because he is diligent and loves to study? No, this is the result of not practicing physical skills well. There is a price to pay for doing the questions in installments. For example, if there were originally 10 questions, It might become 11 questions after the installment. This means that although Obito does not need to do a lot in one day, he needs to do the questions every day. What's more terrible is that there are training every day, which means that he accumulates new questions every day and keeps doing them in installments, but he can't finish them all at once. It feels very painful and will affect his training, because everyone's grades are improving. I can't fall behind, Obito said with a stiff smile on his face. He would definitely not say such a shameful reason as being punished to do questions because of his poor physical skills. It's great that you have such an idea. I feel that I have grown a lot all of a sudden. Nohara-rin smiled with relief. Since he was late for school, Nohara-rin has always taken care of Obito as her own younger brother. Seeing that Obito is now among the top students in the grade in actual combat and has begun to pass the theory test, Nohara-rin is really very happy. Haha, is that so? Obito heard Nohara-rin's praise, and his originally stiff smile was like a plant that was close to withering and was moistened by water, and soon became natural again. With the blessing of Nohara-rin's praise, Obito's speed of doing the questions increased a bit, and he even felt that he could pay tomorrow's installment in advance. It's a holiday again. Obito, what are you going to do on the weekend? Nohara-rin asked. Wait, is it Friday today? Obito's forehead was sweating. He had lost his sense of time in the past few days because of physical training and various questions. Yes, we will have a holiday after class. Aren't you happy, Obito? Nohara-rin asked with a smile. After getting Nohara-rin's affirmative answer, Obito couldn't help but feel that his eyes were dark. From Monday to Friday, they only need to practice from the afternoon after school until the sun sets. But it's different on weekends. On weekends, they practice from the morning until the sun sets. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. A lot of practice time means more battles with Might Guy, and more battles mean more questions. Obito seemed to see questions and test papers coming towards him, drowning him. What's wrong with you, Obito? You look a little ugly. Do you want me to take you to the infirmary? Nohara-rin asked when she saw Obito's ugly expression. Nothing, I'm just too happy to have a holiday. Obito forced a smile and said, yes, I'm very happy. I've been training for so long during the holiday, and my strength has greatly improved. I will get the first place in the school and gain Rin's admiration. Obito has already started to hypnotize himself in his heart. Promise me, Rin, you must practice taijutsu well. Obito couldn't help but say, well, I know that taijutsu is very important. Nohara-rin nodded, not realizing the pain in Obito's words. After school, Obito went to the training ground in the South Forest. Might Guy came before Obito and had already started training. The two looked at each other and saw the desire to win in each other's eyes. They knew what the weekend meant to them. This was no joke. If they were not careful, they would face countless questions. If I had the Sharingan, I would definitely be able to do it. For the first time, Obito was so eager to open the blood limit of the Uchiha clan. The Sharingan has a powerful dynamic vision, which can easily see through the enemy's movements. He has a hunch that after this weekend, the questions to be done may be directly divided into installments until the end of the semester. We must not let this happen. Obito punched the wooden man fiercely. On the other side, Might Guy was also silently holding a boulder to do squats to exercise his thigh muscles. Not only did he not want to do the questions in installments, he also wanted to get the first place in the grade. Miyu saw that both of them were very motivated to exercise and showed a satisfied smile. If they continue to train in this state, after a month, Hyuga Kirato will not be their opponent. Recommend a book. Book title: I Became Light. Telekinesis in American comics to push back tsunamis. Light detonates planets, and can travel through the stars at superluminal speeds. A miraculous giant of light. Superman. He is an enterprising concept, a light that illuminates the darkness. Wonder Woman. He is a glorious warrior. Batman did not speak, and silently created a new Ultraman rampage plan. Steppenwolf. Climbing back to Apocalypse with difficulty. No, Ultraman is too strong. Shenmue. Don't listen to their nonsense. I'm just an ordinary scientist in the Kingdom of Light. I don't have the power they have. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, It means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, New Teleportation Technique. Shisui wiped the sweat off his forehead with his hand, stood against a tree and began to rest. Might Guy and Obito also finished their exercise, and were about to start a battle that depended on the number of questions they had to answer. It's time to release your youth today. Might Guy had a serious face, his muscles tensed, and he was ready to attack. In fact, Might Guy was under more pressure than Obito, because Might Guy had a debt of 50 questions at the beginning, and he had to keep hitting Obito to reduce it. It must not exceed 30, otherwise there will be no time tomorrow night. Obito took a deep breath, his eyes showing the desire for victory and the fear of questions. He also wanted to go out with no Hara-rin on weekend nights, so he must not accumulate too many questions. Begin, Muyu shouted. As soon as Muyu finished speaking, Might Guy rushed out in an instant and quickly kicked an extremely fast tornado kick towards Obito. Obito quickly distanced himself, wanting to be hit as little as possible. After standing for a while, Shisui sat down. Seeing Obito and Might Guy fighting so seriously, he couldn't help but sigh. It's great. We get along happily at ordinary times, and we go all out to make progress together when we compete. Shisui felt that this kind of friendship between friends was really good. Obito almost stumbled and fell to the ground when he heard this. If he didn't go all out, he would have to run wildly on the road of doing questions alone to make crazy progress. If he couldn't beat them, Obito really wanted to ask Muyu to let Shisui join such training. Although he didn't fall, Obito was successfully hit by Might Guy, and the question was increased by 1. With this experience, Obito temporarily changed his habit of being easily distracted, and concentrated on dealing with Might Guy's attack. 5 minutes later, Muyu next to him announced the result of the battle. Obito has 35 questions, and Kai has 15 questions. 35 questions. Obito looked bitter. There were 5 more questions than his bottom line. With so many questions, people were dizzy. How could they play with no Hara-rin? Might Guy's expression was also a little uncomfortable. Obito had made great progress after being beaten every day. He could no longer reduce the number of questions to 10 as before. It's okay. If you can't finish it today, you can do it in installments. You can do it in a week. You only need to do 5 questions a day, and the interest will be counted as 4. Muyu said with a smile. If you do too many questions in one day, Obito may not be able to remember them, which is equivalent to doing them in vain. Obito didn't want to do it in installments, because there were only 35 questions originally, and one installment would become 39. But if he didn't do it in installments, it would be very tiring to finish it in a short time, and he would not have the energy to play with no Hara-rin. Then divide it into 7 days. Obito replied weakly. Although the total amount of installment exams has increased, he can't quit it anymore. It's really much easier this way. Muyu nodded and wrote down Obito's latest installment questions. Do today's work today. Might Guy didn't plan to do it in installments. He wanted to finish the questions today. Might Guy is not going to do it in installments. Muyu also nodded, because doing questions is a means of motivation, and it can also improve the theoretical scores of the two. Muyu thinks this method is good. The questions don't even need to be limited to the knowledge of the ninja school. Doing questions can help the two increase their knowledge. After resting, Shisui began to continue practicing. At present, his focus of practice is on instant body technique and illusion technique. He is new to these two types of techniques, but he learns very quickly, even faster than when he learned Fire Escape. Disciple Uchiha Shisui has practiced hard under your guidance and has gained a certain increase in strength. He has been awarded the reward, Shave, Proficient Level. Muyu was stunned when he saw this reward. He didn't remember a move called Shave in Naruto, but the pirate next door did. When a lot of memories about shaving appeared in his mind, Muyu instantly understood what was going on. This is a shave, one of the 6 styles in his impression, but it has been transformed into the Naruto version by the system. It belongs to physical technique and can be regarded as instant body technique. which requires the use of chakra. Muyu nodded with satisfaction. If it was the pirate's shave, his small body might not be able to use it. The monsters in the pirates were too strong. Muyu compared the instant body technique he knew with shave and decided to use the instant body technique in the future. He felt that the most common instant body technique he mastered was completely defeated by shave. Shisui, I have seen your recent efforts. Compared with 2 months ago, your strength has improved a lot. Keep practicing. I will teach you a stronger instant body technique in a while. Muyu praised with a smile. The big gold mine has exploded with good things again, and Muyu is in a good mood. Stronger instant body technique? Shisui's eyes lit up. He is very interested in the instant body technique and feels that this type of ninjutsu is very suitable for him. Well, you have to pay attention to the training of your physique. That instant body technique belongs to physical skills. If your body is not strong enough, it will cause a lot of pressure on your legs. Muyu nodded and said, after all, it is a transformation of physical skills in the pirate's world. Although chakra is used, it also requires a certain physical strength. Let alone Shisui, Muyu himself has to strengthen his physical training. His ninjutsu configuration was already very luxurious in the early stage, and the arrival of shave just enhanced his mobility. Teacher Muyu, I think I have made great progress. Can you teach me too? Obito scratched his head and laughed. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. He really wanted to learn the instant body technique, not because of fighting, but because he felt that the instant body technique was very cool. If he could also learn the instant body technique during the junior ninjutsu competition, he would not have to walk up, and he could also appear on the stage like Kakashi. Of course, Muyu nodded. Great, Teacher Muyu, you are the best teacher in the ninja world. Obito was very happy to see Muyu agree directly, and immediately cheered. Teacher Muyu, actually I have made great progress. Might Guy also wanted to learn new physical skills. Learn, I can learn anything. Muyu smiled kindly. As long as you get the first place in the grade in the final exam, you can learn this instant body technique from me. Muyu stated the prerequisite. But Gay and I are both 4th graders, so doesn't that mean one of us can't learn? Obito asked in confusion. Then get first place in the next exam, or complete the physical challenge I set. If you complete it, you can also learn. Muyu replied. Is the challenge difficult? Obito asked tentatively. You probably can't stick to it now, Muyu said bluntly. Obito was silent. In this case, he can only learn if he gets first place in the grade. Obito felt that he had one more reason to get first place in the grade at the end of the semester. He looked at Might Guy, who smiled brightly and gave him a thumbs up. You will never give up the first place, right? It's just right. The practical exam does not prohibit the use of ninjutsu. Obito felt that he was about to burn. First, deal with Might Guy, then defeat Kakashi, and then he will be the genius Uchiha. Obito, this is the question you have to do. Remember to do it well. Muyu handed the test paper to Obito. The flames on Obito's body were extinguished instantly. Looking at the questions waiting for him to do one after another, he suddenly felt a headache. And yours, Akai? Muyu smiled and handed over Might Guy's copy. Looking at the test paper with black and white words, the smile on Might Guy's face gradually disappeared, and his thumb, which was originally erected straight, bent down. Even a man of steel can't stand this hardship. P.S. Please read on, recommend, vote for me, and ask for various data. It is at a critical moment recently, so please try to read on, especially on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. There will be more updates after it is put on the shelves. If you see any comments with bad remarks, please tell me in the latest chapter, or directly at me in the comment area. I will read more in my chapters. I hope everyone can still discuss harmoniously, and try not to quarrel. Call me to delete any outrageous remarks. I have been stuck recently, so the update time is late. If you have any interesting ideas, please let me know. Chapter 56, Uchiha's Alien. Do you want to go back together? Shisui asked Obito, who was putting out the test papers. Shisui, are you going back early today? Obito asked with some confusion. He and Shisui were both from the Uchiha clan, and their homes were not far away, but they rarely went back together because Shisui often went back later than them. It was not that Obito was unwilling to practice more, but he was worried that his grandmother would worry about him if he went back too late. Well, Teacher Miyu said to go back early today to get enough rest for tomorrow's practice. Shisui nodded and said, the reason why he went back late every day was because there was no one at home, and it was the same wherever he went. Then Shisui, you really need to rest well. Tomorrow's practice must be very tiring, Obito reminded, looking at Shisui with a trace of pity. After all, Miyu said so, and the practice that Shisui will face tomorrow is definitely not easy. Miyu did not remind him to rest well for his level of training. I roughly guessed that he should strengthen his physical training, Shisui said. Miyu had already said that the new instant body technique would put more pressure on the legs, so physical training must be necessary. Maybe I will join your battle, and I will go all out then, Shisui joked. I hope not. Obito put his hands together and prayed silently to the Six Paths Sage. He had seen Shisui practicing the instant body technique when he was doing the questions, and the speed was too fast, and he would definitely not be able to react in a battle. If the opponent was changed to Shisui, I'm afraid he would have to double the number of questions to do in one battle. It shouldn't be. If that's the case, Teacher Miyu would definitely have told him in advance. Shisui couldn't help laughing when he saw Obito praying devoutly. To say something hurtful, neither Obito nor Might Guy can give him any pressure now, so Miyu will not arrange for them to train together, unless Miyu's purpose is to put pressure on Obito and the others. As the two walked, Obito suddenly stopped, and Shisui looked at Obito behind him with some confusion. Shisui, wait a minute, there's an old lady over there who seems to need help. Obito pointed to an old man who was hunched over with a big bag on his back and said. Shisui looked in the direction that Obito pointed, and there was indeed an old man on the street who seemed to be struggling to move forward. Is Obito's observation ability so strong? Shisui was a little surprised, because he hadn't noticed it just now. After Obito asked the old man what difficulties he had, he immediately helped to carry the luggage and sent the old man to the destination. Grandma, I'm fine. Don't look at me as a child. I can become a ninja next year. I have great strength. Obito patted his chest and smiled. After that, Obito also performed a set of physical skills, which really scared the old lady. In the end, she handed the luggage to Obito. Obito walked in front, and the old lady followed. Shisui, who was walking at the back, showed a thoughtful expression. After helping the old man, the two walked back to the way home. After walking for a while, Obito stopped again and helped an old lady with a cane to go home. Shisui finally understood why Obito was called an alien. The first principle that Uchiha children learned was not to respect teachers or respect the elderly and love the young, but to respect the strong, and the power of ninjutsu was the first. Nothing is more important than strengthening your strength. As long as you are strong enough, nothing is a problem. Shisui is not very old, but his natural strength is there. Even children who are several years older than him have to follow him. Obito is different. He is not very enthusiastic about training that can enhance his strength. Instead, he is very interested in helping the elderly. Shisui thought that this might be the reason why Obito noticed the need to help the elderly. Shisui, after entering the Uchiha clan, you can gradually meet acquaintances of the same age. Uchiha Tetsuka greeted Shisui after seeing him, but he was a little confused when he saw Obito standing next to Shisui. Tetsuka. Shisui also greeted. Then I'll go home first. Obito was in a hurry to go back to see his grandmother, so he said goodbye to Shisui and went back. He didn't say hello to Uchiha Tetsuka because the two were really unfamiliar. Yeah, Shisui nodded and said. Shisui, why are you with him? Uchiha Tetsuka asked curiously. Before this exam, Obito had always been a weird Uchiha in his eyes. He had poor grades but didn't know how to improve himself. He looked silly and his behavior was not like that of an Uchiha at all. After the exam, there were no more labels, but he still felt that Obito was a strange Uchiha. This was not just his own idea, but it was recognized by Uchiha of the same age as him. What's wrong? Shisui asked. Well, I just feel a little surprised. After all, he is that Uchiha Obito. Uchiha Chiuo thought for a while and said, in fact, after getting to know him, you will find that Obito is a very good person. Shisui said. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book underscore bar released this novel for the first time. Shisui didn't explain too much and returned home after a few words. Could it be that Obito's strength has improved because Shisui taught him some secret of training? Uchiha thought as he watched Shisui leave. He was a little unwilling to be defeated by Obito. He has been practicing hard recently just to save face in the final exam. In the morning, Shisui and Obito got up early and went to the training ground in the South Forest. As Shisui thought, Muyu arranged a lot of physical training for him. Push-ups and squats are the basics, and he also has to swim and run around Konoha. The amount of training is beyond Shisui's imagination. Isn't it a bit excessive for me to do such training at my age? Shisui couldn't help asking. Although some people say that the ninja body has unlimited potential, in fact, excessive training will leave hidden injuries to the body. Hearing Shisui say this, Obito came over curiously to take a look, and was stunned by what he saw, and suddenly felt that his training was very easy. Of course, it is impossible to train so much normally, but I have a special secret medicine that can relieve fatigue after exercise and heal the body, Muyu said. Shisui didn't know that this was actually a reward from Muyu for giving him a good reward. Because the secret medicine provided by the system is limited, Muyu has to keep 2 for future research, and the rest will be 1 less. Among Muyu's 3 disciples, only Might Guy can only go the way of physical training, and he originally left all to Might Guy. However, seeing that Shisui performed so well, he decided to take out 2 pills for Shisui to conduct intensive training. Shisui has the highest potential among the current disciples. Muyu hopes that Shisui will enter a period of explosive growth as soon as possible, so that the chakra provided by the apprentice after returning to the teacher will be considerable. Secret medicine. Shisui was a little surprised. If it was a secret medicine with special effects, it would be reasonable. Judging from Muyu's usual training plan, he is not a teacher who would increase the amount of training without reason. Teacher Muyu, how much is this secret medicine? My family left me a lot of money, Shisui asked. Although his grandparents and parents are gone, all the assets were left to him. You don't have to worry about this. Your serious completion of the training is the best reward for me, Muyu said with a smile. Looking at Muyu's sincere expression, Shisui was very moved. He could feel that these were Muyu's words from the heart. To be honest, Muyu brought him more warmth than his uncle. Looking for various data. Chapter 57. The real exam started before entering the examination room. The physical training was much harder than Shisui wanted. Before this, he usually only exercised by running, and he rarely ran to exhaustion. But today was different. Shisui did almost all the exercises for every part of his body. After doing 800 push-ups, Shisui felt that his arms no longer belonged to him. After 800 squats, his legs felt as heavy as lead. After 800 sit-ups, his abdomen was swollen and painful. After completing all these basic exercises, Shisui, who was sitting against the tree, felt that he had lost control of his body. Usually, he didn't feel anything when he saw Might Guy training hard, but when he did it himself, he realized how uncomfortable it was. At the end, he was almost relying on his willpower to hold on. His body's perception was already very vague, and he was only relying on his willpower to complete mechanical repetitive movements. Shisui almost couldn't help but want to use chakra to assist in the exercise. It was too tiring. Imagine that the sweat that keeps flowing blurs your eyes, and the salt in it makes your eyes a little uncomfortable. Every movement of your heavy limbs is a test of your will and strength. But you can't stop yet, because you haven't reached the training goal yet. 412, 413. Looking at Might Guy, who was still doing frog jump training not far away, Shisui couldn't help but admire him. He and Might Guy started training almost at the same time. Might Guy's movements are even more difficult to complete than his. He only does push-ups, while Might Guy puts a stone on his back when doing push-ups. Even so, Might Guy still does more than him in the same period of time, and after he is exhausted, Might Guy still has the energy to continue exercising. In fact, even if it is a pure physical battle, Shisui will not lose to Might Guy, and he is even better than Might Guy. But if it is just a comparison of physical strength, He is much worse than Might Guy. When Might Guy was resting, Shisui couldn't help but ask, "Okay, you used to exercise often before. How could you complete such a large amount of training?" Might Guy nodded and replied, "I started before I went to the ninja school, and my father took me to exercise together." Hearing Might Guy's words, Shisui felt a little melancholy and envious. Because he had lost his parents at that age, Shisui believed that if his parents were still alive at that time, they would have taught him ninja knowledge. "Shisui, do you feel too tired to finish it? I have a training secret here. Do you want to hear it?" Might Guy decided to pass on the training method passed down to him by his father to Shisui. Without the same clan relationship as Obito and Shisui, he and Shisui did not have much contact, but they often trained and ate together, and Might Guy already thought that Shisui was a trustworthy companion. What secret? Shisui became interested. Practice self-discipline, treat these completed training as a challenge, and accept punishment if you fail to complete the challenge. For example, if you don't finish 3,000 push-ups on time, you can punish yourself to do 500 more. Might Guy said, "Putting shackles on yourself to force yourself is indeed a very good training method." Shisui thought for a while and said, he felt that Might Guy's method was similar to Muyu's combat exercises. Shisui didn't expect that Might Guy, who looked careless, could think of this method to motivate himself. "Not bad. This is what my father taught me. Every time I encounter a challenge that is difficult to complete, I have to exercise self-discipline." Might Guy scratched his head and smiled. "Then your father should be a very powerful jonin," Shisui praised. He felt that Might Guy's father could not be bad to be able to train a son like Might Guy. "Haha. He's just a genin, but I think my father is very powerful." Might Guy laughed. Although he is only a genin of 10,000 years, this does not prevent Might Guy from believing in his father's strength. "Genin." Shisui looked a little surprised, and became more curious about Might Guy's father. In terms of Might Guy's age, his father must be over 28, and over 30 is normal. It is rare for him to be a genin at this age. "I have a chakra application technique for physical skills. Let's discuss it," Shisui said in return. Ninja School. In the classroom of Grade 1. The course of Ninjutsu Theory Class 1 is over here. There are still 2 weeks before the final exam. Next, you should review and prepare for the final exam, Muyu said. It was supposed to be finished a week ago, but Muyu spoke faster, so 2 weeks of review time were left. "Teacher Muyu, don't forget my dumplings," Hongdu said. "As long as you do well in the exam, you can get dumplings," Muyu said with a smile. "Teacher Muyu, I want to eat snacks." Gangziti raised his hand and said, "You should prepare for the exam well, and you will get rewards when the time comes." Muyu sorted out the lesson plan and said, "Ding, ding, ding." The bell for the end of get out of class soon rang, and along with the bell for the end of get out of class, there was also a message from the system. Lecture completed. Evaluation. A. Reward. Fire Style. Phoenix Chlorid. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book _ bar is the first to publish this novel. Muyu picked up the lesson plan and nodded secretly in his heart. This can be regarded as a relatively practical fire escape ninjutsu. "I have to review for 2 weeks. I feel tired just thinking about it," Gangziti complained. "Then don't review. Anyway, you are not absent from class," Shen Yuchu-yun suggested. Because Gangziti is unreliable, Shen Yuchu-yun feels that he has to rely on himself to find a girlfriend. He has already inquired that the girl from the neighbor's house is also in the ninja school, in the first grade, class 6. He plans to get the first place in the theoretical exam, and then approach as the first. Although Gangziti scored a few points lower than him in the last exam, he was almost the same as him in the recent mock exam. Shen Yuchu-yun felt that Gangziti was a strong rival for the first place, so he wanted Gangziti to give up the idea of reviewing. "Don't review. This sounds good. I heard from my senior cousin that sometimes you don't review for the exam and face the exam with a more relaxed attitude, and you will do better in the exam." Gangziti nodded and said, in fact, Gangziti's first complaint was to pave the way for this sentence. He wanted Shinayu Izumo to give up the idea of reviewing, and then he would win the first place. because he had already boasted in front of Miui that he could get the first place in theory. Shinryu Izuma was his rival for the first place. Hey, is that really the case? Hongdu was a little moved. She felt that reviewing for 2 weeks was very tiring. Gangziti and Shinryu Izuma nodded in agreement. Shisui, do you review for exams normally? Hongdu asked Shisui in the back. Shisui shook his head. He remembered everything in class. Seeing Shisui, who got the first place in theory in the last exam, said this, Hongdu's eyes lit up instantly, and she felt that she really didn't need to review. Then let's go out and play together this weekend. Hongdu invited the two good brothers. No, I have something to do at home this weekend. Gangziti shook his head and refused. He didn't want to go out and play. He just wanted to study and review to get the first place. What about you, Izuma? Hongdu looked at Shinryu Izuma. Shinryu Izuma also shook his head and said, I have a lot of things to do at home recently, so I can't go. After finally convincing him not to review, he would of course study hard at home. Is that so? Then I'll find someone else to play with. Hongdu didn't doubt what the two said. The real exam had already begun outside the venue, and Hongdu had been eliminated. Chapter 58 Don't hurt each other. Finally finished. Obito, who finally finished the last question, couldn't help but cheer. After more than 10 days of hard work, he finally finished the questions for the installment. From today on, he no longer has to do questions every day. What's finished? Uchiha Obito, what are you yelling about? Get up and answer the questions. Iketani, who was frightened by Obito, said unhappily, but to his surprise, Obito answered correctly, and Iketani had to nod and let Obito sit down and listen carefully. Rin, let's go out to play tonight. Obito, who sat down, laughed. Tonight? Tomorrow is Saturday. How about going out to play tomorrow? No, Harlan said. It's the weekend again? Obito asked with wide eyes and a look of shock. He just finished the questions for the installment. How come it's the weekend again to get questions? Obito, you have been confused recently. Today is already Friday. No, Harlan said jokingly. She saw Obito's recent efforts, and he was really different from before. It's finally the weekend. I feel like the class time goes by so slowly. The weekend is over in the blink of an eye. Yeah, those long breaks during the semester don't feel as long as the 5 days of school. Obito, humans' joys and sorrows are not shared. He just thinks they are noisy. He feels like his time from Monday to Friday has been stolen. Every time he regains consciousness, it's already Friday when school is almost over. And then it's an extremely long weekend. Rin, let's do it tonight. I have to practice during the day tomorrow, and I may not have much energy at night, Obito said weakly. With the final exams approaching, weekend training is even more difficult than before. When he was fighting with Might Guy before, he could still pull through the forest's terrain, but later he was arranged to be on a large flat ground, and he could only rely on speed and agility. So Obito decided to go out with Nohara Rin tonight. Friday's training was relatively easy. Is that so? Let's do it today. I'll find you after school and dinner, and then we'll go find Kakashi together. Nohara Rin nodded and said. Obito wanted to ask why Kakashi was there, but he opened his mouth and didn't ask in the end. Maybe they think that no one wants to play with Kakashi, so they bring him along, Obito thought to himself. After school, Obito went to the training ground as usual, and he was still the last to arrive. Just like before, he first did various physical exercises, such as push-ups, pull-ups, squats, etc. After a certain period of exercise, it was time to fight. Today I will change the rules of the battle. Miyu called Might Guy and Obito together and said, every time you hit the opponent will get 2 more questions, and you will get 1 less question. The battle time is 7 minutes. Hit once and get 2 more questions, and it's still 7 minutes. Obito seemed to see a mountain of questions rushing towards him. Before, he only got 1 question for each hit, and the battle only took 5 minutes. But this time it was doubled. The only advantage is that hitting the opponent can reduce 1 question, and as long as the number of hits is enough, you don't have to do any questions. The problem is that he has always been at a disadvantage in the previous battles. He was glad that he had foresight and asked Nohara to play tonight. At this intensity, the weekend will definitely be very tiring. and it will take several days to recover. Sharingan, Obito kept muttering, eager to open the Uchiha bloodline limit. Teacher Muyu, what about the 50 questions that I started with? Might Guy looked at Muyu with anticipation. Reduce it to 40. Muyu replied, for the sake of balance, it cannot be removed directly for the time being, because Might Guy is much stronger in physical skills than Obito. Although it was not directly cancelled, at least there were 10 fewer questions, and Might Guy was still very happy. And you can use exercise to offset the questions. Up to 60% of the questions can be offset. 300 push-ups can offset one question, and other sports can also be used. Muyu added, hitting once will become 2 questions, which will make the number of questions suddenly expand. Muyu decided to use exercise to offset the questions to recover the expanded questions. After all, the original intention of doing questions is to improve the learning of the two and master more knowledge, rather than a pure punishment mechanism. He has to talk about those questions, not just do them and be done. Offset 60%. Obito's eyes lit up when he heard this, but he felt stressed again when he heard that there was only one question for every 300 push-ups. 300 for one question? Ha ha ha. Might Guy laughed out loud. So he must have done 60% directly. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. Looking at the laughing Might Guy, Obito was inspired when he thought about the face that would be full of questions and said calmly, Teacher Muyu, this is not right. The exercise to offset the questions should be to give us better exercise. This should be based on the individual's training progress. How can a specific number be fixed? He didn't want to do a bunch of questions alone. Obito, what you said makes sense. Then Kai will do 1000 for one question. Muyu thought about it and thought it was okay. Might Guy looked at Obito with a question mark on his face, and the smile on his face froze. Okay, I know, you must want to get a better exercise, right? Don't thank me. Obito smiled and gave Might Guy a thumbs up. Well, Obito, you must be eager for a full-out battle, right? Might Guy began to stretch his legs to warm up, ready to fight with 120 points of effort. The battle ended after 7 minutes. Obito has 100 questions, and Akai has 20. Muyu announced the result of the battle. I know Obito, you want more questions to study, right? No need to thank me. Might Guy showed his shining white teeth and gave a thumbs up. Obito suddenly wanted to slap himself 7 minutes ago. What did you want? Now, both sides are hurt. There are too many questions, and they can't be finished in one day. They can only be offset by training, and part of them can be taken in installments. Since Nohara Rin said that she wanted to go to play with Kakashi together, Obito simply asked Might Guy if he wanted to go with him. Anyway, it was no longer a date between him and Nohara Rin, and Might Guy and Kakashi had a good relationship. What Obito didn't expect was that Might Guy refused, saying that he had made an appointment with Shisui to run at night to exercise today. However, they still met in the evening, and when they were playing, they ran into Shisui and Might Guy who were running. Shisui, trust me, try my tights next time, they are very suitable for exercise. Might Guy tried to sell his green tights. Shisui looked at Might Guy who was posing, imagined himself wearing this green tights and shook his head to refuse. It was too weird. Who is next to Guy? Kakashi asked, looking at the figure next to Might Guy he had never seen before. Our Uchiha genius, someone who is more talented than you, Obito said deliberately. Hey, then what are you? The last one in Uchiha, Kakashi said lightly. Chapter 59, somewhat redundant. Nohara Rin, I'm not the last one in the Uchiha class. I ranked 3rd in the practical combat last time. Obito saw that Kakashi's impression of him was still stuck in the time before he studied with Muyu, so he directly revealed his last test results. If 3rd place is also considered the last place, then there are only 2 people in the grade who are not the last place, and I was careless last time. I will definitely be the first next time, Obito said unconvinced. Kakashi was slightly stunned. Of course, 3rd place in the grade was not the last place. Thinking about Obito's performance in the junior ninjutsu competition, he felt that 3rd place was quite normal. However, Kakashi couldn't stand Obito's arrogance, so he said, I really don't know if 3rd place is considered the last place, because I have always been the first. I don't know what it feels like to be the third place. Obito opened his mouth and found that he couldn't refute it, because this was the fact. When Kakashi was in school, he had absolute dominance in the school and was always the first. By the way, did you rank third in the theoretical exam? I also ranked first in the theoretical exam, Kakashi added. Obito felt like an arrow had shot through his heart. Theory was his eternal pain, not to mention the third place. He barely passed the exam because of Miyu's tutoring. Although his theoretical score was really bad, he would not admit it to Kakashi, so he said stubbornly, I didn't sleep well the day before the last theoretical exam, so I did a little worse than the actual test, but this time it will definitely be different. How much worse is a little worse? I won't even pass it. Kakashi, who knew Obito very well, said deliberately. As he expected, Obito exploded immediately. No, I just passed it, Obito retorted. This was his first time passing. Just passing it means I'm a little worse than the third place. You're a little bit big. Kakashi couldn't help but smile as he said this. Obito was silent. If he could become Hokage, he would definitely issue an order to abolish the theoretical exam in the ninja school. It was too torturous. Obito has been working hard recently. I see he's studying every day. Maybe his final exam score will improve by leaps and bounds. Nohara Rin spoke for Obito. Obito, who was a little depressed at first, instantly recovered and felt that the world was so beautiful. Looking at the gradually receding backs of Might Guy and Shisui, he felt that they were a little cute. No, Kai and Shisui are training, and I am wasting time bickering with Kakashi? Obito suddenly thought of a question. As one grows stronger, the other loses. Might Guy will definitely become stronger than him, and then he will have more questions to do, and he will have no time to play with Nohara Rin. Playing with Rin means doing more questions, and doing more questions means no time to play with Rin, so playing with Rin means no time to play with Rin. Obito came up with such a strange logical chain in his mind. Obito didn't understand why Might Guy and Shisui would train together at night. One of these two people is from the same clan as him, and the other is his classmate. Why does he feel like an outsider? Obito recalled and found that it seemed that he was called, but he wanted to play with Rin, so he refused. Obito was very entangled at this time, thinking about how to solve this problem. Then he saw Kakashi and an idea came to his mind. No matter how much he denied it or how hard he said, Obito had to admit in his heart that Kakashi was really amazing. He graduated at the age of 5 and became a chunin at the age of 6. When they were still in the second year of the ninja school, Kakashi had already been promoted to chunin, the same level as the school teachers. If he could learn something from Kakashi, maybe he could gain an advantage in the battle with Might Guy. Kakashi, if your opponent is faster and stronger than you, how should you deal with it? Obito asked Kakashi. Keep your distance and use ninjutsu. Kakashi replied. Only use taijutsu. Obito added a condition. I know ninjutsu? Why don't I use ninjutsu? Kakashi refused to answer. Obito scratched his scalp and yelled at the hateful Kakashi in his heart. Because at that time, my chakra was almost gone and I couldn't use ninjutsu. Obito thought for a while and said, then fight him head on. Why? Both strength and speed are disadvantages. How can I beat him head on? Obito was very confused. This way you can die more heroically. Do you think that physical skills don't require chakra? Kakashi replied unceremoniously. Obito was a little mad. This damn Kakashi didn't play by the rules at all. Feeling that the joke was almost over, Kakashi said, since your physical strength and speed are not as good as the enemy, you must focus on physical skills and techniques. The so-called battle is nothing more than how I can hit the enemy and how to prevent the enemy from hitting me. Physical skills can allow you to avoid the enemy's attacks and avoid injuries. Stronger skills can make up for the lack of strength when attacking. Obito felt that what Kakashi said made sense, but it seemed that he didn't say anything. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6=9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. Thinking about it carefully, he had heard similar words from Miyu. Are you going to participate in a competition where only physical skills can be used? Is there anyone better than you? Kakashi speculated. It's not a competition. It's a practical test. Both of my strong opponents are good at physical skills. Obito didn't tell Kakashi the truth. He felt that if Kakashi knew that it was a battle punishment, he might not help him and just watch him do the questions with a smile. If you really want to improve your physical skills, I don't mind helping you, but I'm afraid you can't bear the hardship, Kakashi said. I, Uchiha Obito, am least afraid of hardship. Hearing Kakashi's words, Obito smiled. What kind of hardship could be harder than doing 100 questions in a battle? My pain is greater than yours, Kakashi. Then Kakashi took the two of them to a nearby training ground. Next, I will fight you without using ninjutsu, but I will not hold back. Are you sure you want me to help you train? Kakashi asked at last. Just use your full strength, Obito said indifferently. He just wanted to test Kakashi's strength. There is no doubt that Kakashi is better at ninjutsu, so Obito thinks that in a pure physical skills duel, the gap should not be too big. Okay, then I'll start. Seeing that Obito said so, Kakashi decided to fulfill Obito's wish. The next moment, Kakashi used the instant body jutsu to appear in front of Obito, and kicked Obito away before he could react. Obito, who was just chatting with Nohara-rin, was a little confused. He patted the dust off his body and said, I was careless and didn't dodge. Continue. A minute later, Obito's body was covered with dust and several shoe prints. Because Nohara-rin was watching, even if he fell down several times in a minute, Obito could still pretend to be relaxed and stand up and shout to continue. Nohara-rin looked at the two people who had already entered the state, and seemed to be a little redundant here. P.S. Please read and vote for the monthly ticket, and ask for various data. Please don't keep reading on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. It's a life and death moment, please. I recommend a friend's Bleach fan-fiction book titled The Sunny and Cheerful Big Boy of the Bleach. Chapter 60 Learning the Sealing Technique. After finishing the disciple training on Sunday afternoon, Miyu went to the main city. Instead of going home, he went directly to Minato's house. When eating at Miyu's place last night, Kushina and Minato told Miyu that they had practiced the braised pork almost to the point and were going to start making it officially tomorrow afternoon. Miyu could go over to have a look when she was free. When Miyu arrived, the two had just finished cooking the pork belly and were preparing to color it with soy sauce. When Miyu was about to step forward to help, she was stopped by Kushina. Miyu, just watch. If there is anything wrong with the steps, you can tell me. You don't need to help, Kushina said. Kushina was embarrassed to ask Miyu to help as she ate at Miyu's house every night. Minato took a fruit plate and poured Miyu a glass of water and smiled gently. Miyu, you don't need to help today. Be the invigilator for once. Minato and Kushina had the same idea and thought that they should do it themselves this time. Then I'm going to be lazy, Miyu said with a smile. You can use a skewer to poke some small holes in the skin of the meat and then pour soy sauce. This will make the braised pork more flavorful, and it will be more fluffy when fried later, Miyu reminded. Kushina and Minato realized that they had forgotten such a small detail. With Miyu's reminder, Kushina and Minato completed each step in an orderly manner, frying and slicing, seasoning sauce, steaming. When the two were done, it was already dark. Although this braised pork is delicious, it is really troublesome to make. Miyu, you should be very hungry, Kushina asked. Compared with some of her usual home-cooked dishes, braised pork is much more troublesome. It is obviously a dish, but it has to go through 3 procedures of boiling, frying and steaming. Fortunately, after all, I was just watching from the side, Miyu replied. While the two were talking, Minato brought up the braised pork. Next, please ask Teacher Miyu to give the score. Minato joked. You have been busy for so long, why don't you taste the fruits of your labor first? Miyu did not rush to taste it, but chose to let Minato and Kushina eat first. Let's eat together. Kushina, who was already very hungry, decided not to do so much nonsense. The three of them quickly served the rice and said, I'm going to start eating, and started eating directly. Yes, it's this kind of fat but not greasy feeling. Picking up a piece of meat and putting it in her mouth, and then taking a mouthful of rice with chopsticks, Kushina showed an excited expression on her face. full of a sense of accomplishment. She felt that her time was not wasted and she successfully learned a very delicious dish. Although she felt that Miyu's cooking was still better, Kushina felt that there was no one in the world who could cook better than Miyu. Isn't it normal to be a little worse than the world's best? I must make it for Jiraiya when he comes back, Minato said while eating. Minato was also very satisfied with this plate of braised pork, so he wanted to share it with Jiraiya. Well, the degree of completion is very high, and there are no major shortcomings. Miyu also gave praise after tasting it. It's not that he was completely in the mood to improve his favorability, but this dish was originally a home-cooked dish that was not difficult, and with him next to him to give instructions, the finished product would naturally not be bad. However, an awkward scene soon appeared. The braised pork was quickly eaten up, and the three of them stared at each other. Sorry, I forgot to cook other dishes. Looking at the empty plate, Minato came to his senses. I was too focused and forgot about it. Kushina smiled embarrassedly. Let me cook 2 dishes. Miyu stood up and said, this is not good. You are a guest. How can you let the guests cook? Kushina was a little tempted, but felt that this was not good. Then do you want me to go home and cook and bring it over? Miyu asked with a smile. I'll wash the vegetables. Minato stood up silently. Kushina thought about the taste of Miyu's cooking, and finally nodded uncontrollably. Miyu, aren't you interested in sealing techniques? What sealing techniques have you been learning recently? I can teach you some sealing techniques. Kushina, who was sitting at the dining table with nothing to do, couldn't help asking. Kushina was really embarrassed to have a meal at her home, and wanted to repay Miyu. I'm still reading various theoretical books. Do you have any recommended sealing techniques? It's best if they are available in the library. Miyu thought for a while and said, if you haven't started learning yet, how about I teach you an introductory sealing technique of our Uzumaki clan? I can also test your talent for sealing techniques. If you learn it within a day, you are a genius in sealing techniques. If you learn it within a week, you have the talent for sealing techniques. If it takes more than a month, it is not recommended to waste time on sealing techniques, Kushina said. Then how long did it take you to learn it, Kushina? Miyu asked while simmering oil in a pan. 1 day, Kushina answered proudly, and she waited for Miyu to ask. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar published this novel for the first time. Then you are a genius in sealing techniques, Miyu praised. Generally, that is, you have learned most of the sealing techniques of our Uzumaki clan, Kushina said generally, and the smile on the corner of her mouth could no longer be controlled. After dinner, Kushina handed Miyu a scroll, and then went to wash the dishes. Minato explained to Miyu. Miyu listened very seriously, more seriously than ever before. This sealing technique is called one-finger speed seal. It can create a seal that seals chakra very quickly, but the binding force is not strong and it is easy to break. It does not have much practical significance and is generally only used for introductory practice, Minato explained. I don't know if Minato's sealing technique level is high and he is good at teaching, or Miyu has a talent for sealing techniques. He feels that this one-finger seal seems to be quite simple. Miyu did not show this aspect, but just asked questions from time to time. On Monday, Gangzidi went to the ninja school early. Seeing that Shinnu Izumo had not come yet, he nodded with satisfaction. He put a novel on the table and started reading. When he felt that Shinnu Izumo was about to come, Gangzidi put away the textbook and only left the novel on it. Zidi, didn't you say you don't need to review? Why are you here so early to read? Shinnu Izumo, who studied until 1 o'clock in the morning last night, asked in surprise. Gangzidi raised the novel in his hand and said, how can I review? This is a new ninja novel that has been published recently. It's very good. Shinnu Chuyun looked at the pattern on the cover and the title of the book and then he felt relieved. He smiled and said, reading novels to relax is indeed a good choice. It turns out that Zidi likes to read novels. I'll buy him a best-selling novel tomorrow and let him read it for 2 weeks. Shinnu Chuyun thought to himself. He felt that the first place was getting more and more stable. Izumo, why do you look listless? You didn't stay up late to study, did you? It's not good for your health and it's not good for the exam. Gangzidi asked tentatively with a concerned look. No, I forgot the time when I was playing games with my cousins last night and went to bed very late. Shen Chu-yun said naturally. Playing games to relax is not bad either. Gang Ziti smiled and felt that the first place was getting more and more stable. It's good to like playing games. He decided to ask more about various games after school and try to let Shen Chu-yun play various games every day for 2 weeks. What novels and games? Hongdu, who entered the classroom, became interested. Sunday, Monday and Tuesday are really important. Please read it. Chapter 61, Sealing Talent. Seal. On Monday afternoon in the forest of the southern border, Muyu was practicing the one-finger seal that Kushina taught him. Since it was a sealing technique used to seal chakra, Muyu used his own shadow clone to experiment. I couldn't condense chakra. It worked. The shadow clone responded, but I feel that I can break through it with full strength. The shadow clone added. Muyu nodded. No wonder Minato said that this sealing technique has no practical value. Although he just learned it, it can be broken through instantly by the shadow clone with only half of his chakra. This restraint is also unparalleled, but it can be considered as learning it. Do I have a talent for sealing techniques? Muyu thought in his heart. The sealing technique was given by Kushina last night, and he practiced it today. According to Kushina, he is a genius in sealing techniques. Strictly speaking, he even practiced for less than half a day. He practiced for a while last night, and practiced for a short time this afternoon. Many speculations flashed through Muyu's mind, whether it was the original owner's own talent, his own talent, or the result of the combination of the two. It didn't matter what the reason was, because this was absolutely good news. Even if he didn't look to the future to learn those powerful sealing techniques, and was only limited to the present, he saw the dawn of breaking the root curse seal. After reading books related to sealing techniques and curse seals, and learning another sealing technique, Muyu already knew that curse seals are actually a small category of sealing techniques. The seal of the root of tongue disaster is essentially a sealing technique, which is a more special sealing technique. Sealing techniques can generally be solved in 2 ways. The first is to break through directly through the tyrannical chakra, and the second is to remove the seal with the corresponding seal-breaking technique. Muyu felt that it was unreliable to rely on chakra to forcibly break through the seal, because the level of the seal of the root of tongue disaster was not low. If he could forcibly break through, it would probably not be difficult to kill Danzo. So Muyu was going to learn more sealing techniques, and then study his own tongue trouble root seal, and finally develop the tongue trouble root seal's unsealing technique. He deliberately left a ninjutsu proficiency scroll unused in preparation for the sealing technique. The system rewards him with a certain amount of corresponding property change knowledge for the chakra attribute ninjutsu that he has not mastered, so Muyu speculated that if he directly upgraded a certain sealing technique to the proficient level, he could also gain some knowledge of sealing techniques. Muyu was not going to use the proficiency scroll on the one-finger seal. He felt that this sealing technique should be equivalent to the 3-body technique in the sealing technique, and it was a bit of a loss to use the proficiency scroll on this sealing technique. After finishing the disciples' training, Muyu went directly to the main city. Since Kushina and Minato invited him to dinner yesterday, Muyu naturally called the two to his home for dinner. Today, Muyu made pepper-fried eggs, tempura, and potato stew. Muyu's personal favorite is pepper-fried eggs, which was a dish his mother often made for him in his previous life. Muyu can be said to like eating eggs very much. He can accept steaming, boiling, frying or deep frying. In addition, he also likes spicy food, so there are few chive-fried eggs in his family. Basically, there are chili-fried eggs. First, beat the eggs in a bowl, quickly use chopsticks to beat the foam, then pour the chili directly into the egg liquid and stir, and then pour it into the pot. Although he has surpassed his master with the chef's skills, every time he makes this dish, he will recall the relevant memories of his previous life. Muyu, what's wrong with you? Are you afraid that the dish you made will be spicy? Kushina joked when she saw Muyu pick up the chili fried egg and didn't eat it. It's amazing. Chili and eggs can be so delicious when fried like this. Minato praised. If he were to cook, he would definitely not be able to combine chili and eggs together, let alone fry them so roughly. Yes, chili fried eggs are delicious. Muyu stopped reminiscing, smiled gently, and then put a piece of chili fried egg into his mouth. Well, delicious. The three chatted while eating, and finally talked about the sealing technique that Miyu was learning. Miyu, can you perform the one-finger seal now? Kushina asked. Miyu shook his head and said, every time I rehearse it in my mind, it goes smoothly, but I just can't use it smoothly. I feel like something is missing. Miyu didn't plan to tell what he learned in half a day, which was a bit shocking, because Kushina said that she learned it in one day. Where Kushina is, there must be surveillance by the Anbu, and he didn't want to be too exaggerated. He planned to pretend that he practiced it in 7 days, so that he would not be too talented, but also show that he has a talent for sealing. This is normal. Few people can learn it in one day. Your situation is normal. Minato comforted him. He was worried that Miyu would be affected by Kushina's previous words, causing problems with his mentality. Yes, as long as you can learn it within a month, there will be no problem. Kushina added, if you don't understand, just ask us. You're welcome, Kushina said while eating. Minato also nodded, indicating that there was no problem. I hope you don't mind the trouble, Miyu said with a smile. Read the error-free version at 69 Chuba. 6 = 9 plus Shu_bar released this novel for the first time, Thursday afternoon. Konoha's Southern Forest. Obito has 85 questions. Might Guy has 30 questions. Miyu announced the results of this afternoon's battle. Only 85. Obito couldn't help showing excitement on his face. He felt that the beating he received from Kakashi was not in vain. This was the time with the least questions after the battle rules were changed, which showed that he had improved, being beaten less and hitting more. Obito was going to use 40% to offset the training, doing 10% on the day, and the remaining 50% to be paid in installments. After the distribution was completed, he even felt that there were not many questions. There are actually 30 questions. Might Guy clenched his fists in disbelief. This was the time with the most questions after the rules were changed. Even if the ratio of questions to training was maximized, he still had to do 12 questions. Not bad. You have all made great progress. If you want to do the questions in installments today, you can waive the interest, Miyu said with a smile. Obito's eyes lit up instantly, and he felt that he could pay more in installments. Might Guy thought about it and thought that there was no interest in the installment plan. Isn't it free? If you don't share it, it's free. So he also applied for installment payment with Miyu. After the training, Might Guy found Shisui, hoping that he could help him with some intensive training. Obito's progress gave him a strong sense of crisis, although he still had a great advantage now. Obito was not allowed to use ninjutsu during the battle, and he didn't even have half of his strength. Might Guy remembered what Miyu had said before. Fighting is also an important part of improving strength. It is not a training battle like Obito, but a real fight with all your strength. Full strength? Shisui asked. Might Guy nodded to confirm. Then I'm going to take action. Shisui knew in advance. Might Guy also tensed his muscles, ready to burst out with physical skills at any time. But the next moment after Shisui finished speaking, a big tree drilled out of the ground and tied up Might Guy. When Might Guy was still wondering what ninjutsu Shisui used, the big tree that tied him up suddenly disappeared, and Shisui had already put a kunai on his neck, and the battle was over. Might Guy understood what just happened. He was caught in Shisui's illusion. The road to the strongest is still long. Might Guy, who was killed in one blow, thought, please, come again. Although the road is long, but Might Guy will not admit defeat. Recommended book. Konoha's Hyuga is not right. He traveled through time and space to become a branch of Hyuga. At the beginning, he was hated by Sarutobi and had a close friend of Vakaya. It was a start full of buffs. Let's see how the protagonist changes his fate. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62 Forever Friday. Obito, have you encountered any good things recently? You seem to be in a good mood? Nohara-rin saw that Obito was particularly happy today, so she asked curiously. Of course it's because good days are coming, Obito said with a smile. Although the questions seem to have increased after the battle rules changed, they are offset by training. There are also installments, and the number of questions done every day has not changed much. Now that he is getting stronger, the questions are getting fewer and fewer, and there are offsets and installments. It doesn't mean that good days are coming. Obito, you finally remembered the date. Do you want to play together tomorrow? Nohara Rin thought that the good day Obito mentioned was the weekend, so she invited him. Date, play together tomorrow? Obito looked a little confused, and then thought of a terrible possibility. Today is Friday again? Obito asked Nohara Rin. Yes, isn't the good day you mentioned by Obito the weekend? Nohara Rin nodded and asked. Obito was silent. He felt that yesterday was Sunday, and today was Friday again. In a trance, Obito remembered that he had experienced this scene several times. Am I trapped in a world with only Fridays and weekends? Obito held his head and couldn't accept the fact. What's wrong with you, Obito? You look very distressed. Nohara Rin was a little confused. How could a student look miserable when the weekend came? Isn't it good to have a holiday? Because I love school and study too much, I feel very uncomfortable when I think about not being able to go to school. Obito forced to explain. Obito would not tell Nohara Rin for fear of embarrassment that he would accumulate a lot of questions on the weekend and not be able to finish them. So you love studying so much, Obito? Nohara Rin was a little surprised, thinking that this might be related to Obito's progress this semester. Then are you going to play tomorrow? Nohara Rin asked. Let's go tonight, Obito replied. After the rule change, he really didn't have the energy to play on the weekend. He practiced and did questions almost all day during the day, and he didn't want to move at night. Every time he thought about Might Guy practicing by himself after training, Obito felt his scalp tingling. What kind of body and was this? Won't Kai get tired? Obito looked at Might Guy who was doing questions with his head down and wondered in his heart. I hope there will be interest-free installments on weekends. Obito thought of yesterday, and then silently prayed to the kind-hearted Muyu Immortal in his heart. After school, Obito went to the training place as usual. He was the last one to arrive. Muyu called the three together and arranged the tasks. Okay, kick that tree with all your strength. Muyu casually pointed to a lush tree and said. Might Guy nodded, walked to the tree and directly kicked out a whirlwind kick at a very fast speed. Snap! The tree fell down and was directly kicked off by Might Guy. My strength is enough to kick off a big tree. Might Guy was a little surprised. At that time, he thought it was very cool to see Muyu kick off the big tree quickly, but he didn't expect that he could do it so quickly. Then Muyu used ninjutsu to create a big pit, and then filled the pit with water escape, and said to Obito, Obito, use the fireball to attack the pit with all your strength. Obito began to make hand seals according to what Muyu said, and then spit out a huge fireball, which instantly evaporated all the water in the puddle, leaving only a piece of scorched earth. This is the power of the fire style I released. Obito's eyes widened. This was a puddle several meters wide. 3 months ago, his little fireball couldn't evaporate a puddle of half a meter. Then Muyu took them to review a series of training items such as climbing trees and treading water. Obito suddenly found that he had really become much stronger. The treading water training that made him extremely embarrassed before, he could now run around on it without being knocked over by the waves. He could walk up any tree, no matter how high it was, and he could melt ice blocks as big as 2 heads easily. He could use the Great Fireball and the Great Dragon Fire at will. Finally, Muyu gave Obito and Might Guy a mock test. 60 points. This is my score? Obito saw the score on the test paper, and his expression was more surprised than when he saw the fire style evaporate the puddle just now. The last time he took the test, he got 30 points, which was the first time. This 60 points is an unprecedented high score. 54 points. Might Guy held the test paper and burst into tears of emotion. He felt the same as Obito, that is, it was too high, and it was a little unreal. Obito couldn't help but ask, Mr. Muyu, you are not really the sage of 6 paths, are you? All the hard work for so long was not in vain. Everything was rewarded. Nature change, ninjutsu, physical skills, chakra control and even theoretical results. Obito felt that he had become stronger in all aspects, and he became much stronger. At this time, Obito felt that doing exercises every day and training all day on weekends didn't matter, because he gained too much. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. If he continues like this, he may really become the Hokage of Konoha. You are so nice. Do you want to be exempted from interest today? Miyu asked with a smile. Hehe. It would be best if it can be exempted tomorrow. Obito smiled. Although it feels that doing exercises is nothing now, it is better to do less. You are so beautiful. The special benefits are only for yesterday. Miyu put her fingers together and knocked on Obito's head. The reason why I suddenly made such a training summary is to let the disciples see their progress, so that they will be more motivated to practice. Timely positive feedback is very important. Miyu plans to make such a training summary every once in a while. The disciples were excited, and Miyu did not waste it. He directly gave the calligraphy he usually wrote to the 3 disciples. You gave the disciple Uchiha Obito's handwritten calligraphy. Because the disciple is very grateful, reward critical hits and obtain the ninjutsu Earth Style, Earth Spear, proficient level. A lot of experience in practicing Earth Style, Earth Spear appeared in Miyu's mind, and he instantly realized the various uses of this ninjutsu in actual combat. Miyu nodded secretly in his heart, feeling that this reward was good. This is a very practical Earth-style ninjutsu, which can harden any part of the body. It can be said to be an attack and defense in one, and it is very practical. Whether it is defending when being close to the face, or hardening the offensive part when attacking, it is very useful. Don't forget your original intention. Obito thought for a while, but in the end he couldn't think of any special meaning, and finally chose not to think about it. God rewards hard work. Might Guy scratched his head and vaguely felt the meaning, and smiled. Even if he didn't count this training summary, he was still full of motivation. Those who are righteous will have many helpers, and those who are unrighteous will have few helpers. Shisui also didn't quite understand what Miyu's calligraphy wanted to express. What is a righteous person and what is an unrighteous person? P.S. Please read and vote for the monthly ticket, and please give me various data. Please don't keep reading on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. It's a life and death moment, please. Book recommendation. In Konoha, the ninja world will be overturned starting from the Anbu. Hinata Mochizuki woke up from the dungeon and found himself in a deadly situation. He only wanted to protect himself but tore off the bright and beautiful veil of Konoha. When you stare into the abyss is also staring at you. The dragon-slaying boy will eventually become the dragon. Wearing a cat-faced mask and an Anbu cloak, he stood on the Hokage rock and overlooked the village. His dark figure was stretched long by the sunlight, and he whispered to himself, "Use the darkness of Konoha to overthrow the ninja world." Chapter 63 Good Brothers. On Sunday evening, Miyu mentioned that he had mastered the one-finger seal while preparing dinner. "Have you mastered it? Let me count. It's just 7 days." Kushina counted on her fingers and found that Miyu had mastered it in just 7 days. "You learned it in 7 days, which shows that Miyu has a very good talent for sealing," Kushina said with a smile, feeling happy for Miyu. "With such a talent for sealing, if you continue to learn, it will not be difficult to be promoted to a special jonin by sealing." "I think I can learn it so quickly, mainly because you, Mr. Kushina and Mr. Minato, taught me well," Miyu said with a smile as he served the dishes on the table. This can be considered a give and take, as Minato and Kushina also jokingly called him Mr. Miyu before. "Hehe, that's right. I taught Minato all the sealing techniques by hand," Kushina said proudly. After getting along well with Minato, Kushina hoped that Minato would become stronger, so she often took Minato to practice sealing techniques together. Under her careful teaching, Minato has become a master of sealing techniques and has mastered many advanced sealing techniques. "Maybe I am suitable to be a teacher." Kushina felt that he might have a talent for teaching. She had taught Minato and Miyu the sealing techniques. Minato had become a master of sealing techniques, and Miyu also learned one-finger sealing in a week. "Teacher Kushina, stop talking and get ready to eat." Minato helped Kushina to serve the rice and teased, "Student Minato, who told you to talk to the teacher like this? I will punish you to pick up food for the teacher." Kushina imitated the tone of the teacher in the previous ninja school and said, "Okay." Minato showed a helpless smile and cooperated with Kushina's performance, helping Kushina pick up food. Miyu next to him was in a subtle mood. Although he was in his home, he had the idea of taking the bowl out to eat. "If you keep going like this, I will finish all the dishes." Miyu directly turned on the dry rice mode and ate quickly. Pick up the dishes quickly and put them into the mouth together with the rice, and then repeat this operation continuously. Hey! Seeing the dishes on the plate gradually decreasing, Kushina and Minato had no time to continue playing role-playing games, and began to eat aggressively. Soon the three of them finished all the dishes on the table, and then Kushina and Minato went to wash the dishes. Because they ate too often, they usually helped Miyu with other things, such as washing vegetables and dishes, and Miyu would also help when she went to eat with them. After washing the dishes, Kushina asked Miyu to familiarize herself with the one-finger seal and the knowledge of the seal technique on the scroll. In a few days, she would teach Miyu the three-finger seal. The three-finger seal is an advanced version of the one-finger seal. With your talent, you should be able to learn it in a month, Kushina said. Are there four-finger seals and five-finger seals on it? Miyu felt that the name was a bit sloppy. There is no four-finger seal, only five-finger seals, Kushina replied. There really is. If you can master the five-finger seal, it will not be difficult to learn most of the seal techniques, and the five-finger seal itself is also part of a certain advanced seal technique, Kushina explained. After Kushina said this, Miyu understood the significance of the existence of the one-finger seal and the three-finger seal. What do you want to eat tomorrow? I'll prepare the ingredients in advance, Miyu said. Although everyone is already familiar with each other, he has to show some appreciation for Kushina and Minato's teaching of the seal. Braised pork, Kushina replied immediately. Fried mushrooms. Minato thought for a while and replied. Kushina's answer was within his expectations. As for Minato, Miyu felt that he had to remind him that the mushrooms must be cooked, and that he should leave a Flying Thunder God mark in the Konoha hospital. On Monday, Gangzidi went to school early. He skillfully placed the novel on the table and began to read. This was the last week. The final exam would be held directly on Monday next week, and he would have a holiday after 3 days of exams. When Shinryu Izuma was about to arrive, Gangzidi put away the book and opened the novel. Zidi. Good morning. Shinryu Izuma smiled and greeted Gangzidi. Are you reading novels again? Uchiha looked at the book in front of Gangzidi, and heaved a sigh of relief after confirming that it was a novel. Yes, there is only 1 week before the exam. There is no point in studying at this time. It will only make you anxious. It is better to relax yourself. Gangzidi replied with a smile. By the way, Chia-Ayun, I recently found a good game. Come and see if you like it. Gangzidi said and took out a square iron box from his bag. This is the best-selling game backgammon that he learned from many sources. It is said that it is very addictive. After playing it once, you will want to play it again. Doesn't Uchiha like to play games? This kind of excellent game must be played for a week. Backgammon. I played it once at my relative's house. It was fun. Zidi, you are so loyal. Uchiha was very moved. Unexpectedly, the lie he told to cover up his studies was remembered by Gangzidi, which made Uchiha feel a little guilty. How could he? I've bought a lot of good ninja novels recently, and I can't finish reading them all. I'll give you 3. Shinryu smiled and took out a novel and handed it to Gangzidi. Although brotherhood is good, he wants to win the heart of his neighbor's sister more. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar first releases this novel. Since you like reading novels, just read novels for a week. Anyway, Gangzidi himself said that he would relax for a week. These are the hot-selling novels recently. Izumo, looking at the novels handed over by Shinryu with a smile, Gangzidi was very moved. His usual disguise was actually taken seriously by Shinryu, and he even used such a poor excuse to give him a gift. How can there be no novels that you can't finish reading? The more you read good novels, the less you feel. I have collected various games recently. Izumo, you take it. Gangzidi was worried that one backgammon board was not enough to play, so he handed a piece of paper to Shinryu. There were more than a dozen games written on the paper, both indoors and outdoors, and the main feature was a complete range. "I'm sorry, Izumo, for Mui." Gangzidi apologized in his heart. "Shisui, why don't you take a novel to relax? I see you're tired from studying every day, and I can't finish all the books I have in a short time." Gangzidi asked Shisui behind him. "You can also share my games here," Shinryu Izumo also said hurriedly. But to their regret, Shisui shook his head and declined. "Are you two still good brothers? You ask Shisui instead of me, right?" Hongdu put her hands on her hips and glared at the two. Gangzidi, Shinryu Izumo. They were afraid that Hongdu would continue like this and her grades would not be as good as last time. Hongdu, maybe you should review." Gangzidi couldn't help but say. Hongdu was not a threat to him, and he was more worried that Hongdu would do too badly in the exam. "Why review? Isn't it better not to review?" "Have you reviewed?" Hongdu asked doubtfully. Gangzidi naturally didn't dare to admit it and shook his head directly. "Then did you review, Izumo?" Hongdu asked again. "No." Shinryu Izumo also shook his head. "That's it." Hongdu nodded with satisfaction. Shinryu Uchiha and Gangzidi looked at each other, and finally shared the novel and game with Hongdu as Hongdu wished. "That's what good brothers should do." Hongdu patted the two on the shoulders and smiled happily. Recommended book, Heroic Spirit Summoning. I have one more talent. After traveling to the Yuling world, Yiming discovered that he could not only evolve the history of heroic spirits, but also replace key relics. Chapter 64 The Reason Why You Must Get First Place. Next, I have to do 25 questions every day for 10 consecutive days to pay off all the installments. On the way to the South Forest, Obito was calculating the questions he was carrying. "I can't finish them even when I'm on vacation." Obito scratched his hair, feeling a little stressed. Not only are there a lot of old debts, but new debts are also acquired every day, which is very difficult to bear. Obito felt that he would have to do questions every day for the rest of his life. And if he continued like this. After Obito arrived, Miyu called Might Guy and Obito together and said, "Next week is the final exam. I will change the training plan." "Change the training plan? There is only 1 week left. There is no need." Obito was a little nervous. The last change was directly from more than 30 questions in one battle to more than 100 questions in one battle, and Obito was really a little scared. "Cancel the physical battle temporarily, and train separately." Miyu said the specific changes, and then smiled at Obito. "Are you sure there is no need to change?" "I think it is necessary," Obito answered with a serious face. "The battle is not important, and the questions are not important, but it is very important for him not to have a battle and not to add new questions." "Mr. Miyu, your decision is great. It is simply a stroke of genius, extraordinary and extraordinary." Obito used all his life's learning to flatter, and he didn't know what he was saying at the end. "You are exaggerating." Miyu knocked Obito's head. "There is one more thing. Although we are not fighting now, the previous installment questions must be completed on time." Obito covered the place where he was just knocked, and laughed. "I promise to complete the task." If being knocked can reduce the number of questions, he would rather be knocked all over his head than do so many questions for so long. "What do you think, Kai?" Miyu asked. Obito looked at Might Guy nervously, fearing that Might Guy would say something bad. "I think it's good too," Might Guy answered quickly, fearing that Miyu would misunderstand his meaning. Might Guy didn't say anything because he saw that Obito had already said it. Which good person likes to do questions? Obito breathed a sigh of relief, smiled and gave Might Guy a thumbs up. Might Guy nodded, also smiled and gave a thumbs up. They had reached an agreement. "Practice hard. I won't interfere with you this week. You can train according to your own ideas, practice however you want, and leave whenever you want," Miyu said with a smile. "That's great." Obito felt that Miyu's body was glowing. "Shisui, come here." Miyu called Shisui, who was practicing. Shisui stopped practicing and walked to Miyu. "After a month of intensive training, your body has become much stronger, and you can start practicing the new instant body technique," Miyu said. "This month, Shisui temporarily put aside other training and spent the whole month training his body. The effect of the huge amount of training is also very obvious. Shisui's body is much stronger than before, because there's a system's secret medicine to repair the body and remove hidden injuries. Muyu can be said to let Shisui challenge his own limits every day. In addition, Shisui is indeed talented in the instant body technique. Muyu thinks that he can pass the shaving to Shisui. Hearing that it was the instant body jutsu that Muyu had mentioned before, Obito and Might Guy could not help but start to pay attention to Muyu. Didn't they say that he had to be the first in the grade in actual combat? Obito asked. Shisui was given this as a reward before, and do you think Shisui won't be the first in the grade? Muyu replied with a smile. Obito thought about it and it was true. If he was put into first grade, he could kill people at will, not to mention Shisui who was even stronger than him. With Shisui, the results of the first grade practical exam were out before it even started. Without any suspense, Muyu grabbed Shisui with his hand and shaved him to appear more than 10 meters away. Obito couldn't help showing a longing expression when he saw Shave's performance, as if he had teleported in an instant. If he could do such an instant body jutsu, how cool would he be in normal times? When others saw him walking into the classroom, he instantly appeared in his seat. When the teacher asked him to go to the podium to answer questions, he could also disappear and appear on the podium instantly to scare the teacher. Helping grandmas and grandpas to walk can also make them walk faster, directly letting them experience the feeling of being like the wind. I must win the first place in the actual combat. Let Lin know that I have become very strong, and let the hateful Kakashi not dare to look down on me again. Obito swore secretly in his heart. He has been ridiculed by Kakashi too many times, and this time he must prove himself. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar. First published this novel. What a fast speed. If I can master this instant body technique, maybe I can have a chance to defeat Kakashi. Might Guy thought to himself as he watched Muyu disappear in an instant and then appear in the distance. His speed is very fast for Obito, but it is not enough to face Kakashi. Might Guy thinks that if he learns this instant body technique, he can catch Kakashi off guard with his speed. Even if he can't defeat Kakashi, he won't be as embarrassed as last time. In order to defeat Kakashi, I must obtain this instant body technique and win the first place in this practical test. Might Guy's blood has begun to boil. He wishes he could skip this week, skip the theoretical test, and take the practical test immediately. Muyu, who was watching Obito and Might Guy with his peripheral vision, nodded secretly in his heart. This is exactly the effect he wanted to achieve. Sometimes it is better to let the students take the initiative than to set a certain amount of training content, with the reward of the instant body technique as bait. There is no need to worry about lack of motivation. In addition, with Might Guy, an extremely self-conscious training maniac, there is no need to worry that Obito will just give up without his supervision. Seeing Might Guy, his classmate and rival, training hard, can Obito leave with peace of mind? This instant body technique is called shaving. The main difficulty lies in the multiple bursts of chakra in a short period of time to strengthen the body and achieve high-speed movement. Muyu began to concentrate on teaching Shisui the instant body technique. Shaving in one piece relies on the reaction force of stomping on the ground dozens of times in a short period of time to move at high speed. Muyu felt it was a bit far-fetched when she first watched the anime, but after thinking about it carefully, it is not really possible with the physique of the One Piece world. The ninja version of shaving modified by the system is very ninja, and Muyu feels that it is a local physical technique with a different name. The ninja version of shaving does not rely on the reaction force of stomping on the ground, but uses special chakra techniques to strengthen the legs several times when stomping on the ground quickly, so as to burst out super high speed. It can be seen that the core of the ninja world version of shave is that special chakra technique, which is very ninja. Strengthened several times in a short period of time? Shisui was a little surprised. It was the first time he heard of this technique. No wonder Muyu asked him to train his body for a month. The instant body flickering technique he learned before was only a one-time strengthening. If he used it too much, he would get tired. This shave is much more advanced than the previous instant body flickering technique. He is looking forward to the next practice. If he masters this instant body flickering technique, the speed will definitely be much faster. Everyone, don't keep reading. The recent life and death moment is over. The good days of explosive updates are coming soon. Chapter 65, Serious People Review. On Monday, because it was already the day of the exam, Gangziti did not go to the ninja school too early. He had been reviewing for 2 weeks, so he did not need to fight for the 10 or 20 minutes in the morning. On the way, Gangziti met Shinu Izumo, who was also going to school. Izumo, good morning. Gangziti greeted with a bright smile. Good morning, Ziti. Shinu Izumo smiled and responded when he saw his good brother. How was your weekend? Or did you review your lessons for 2 days? Gangziti asked with a friendly face. Review your shit, Shinu Izumo said with a big laugh. Shinu Izumo asked, are you reviewing? I'm not reviewing. Gangziti shook his head and said, who would review before the exam? Can the results of the last-minute review be a real skill? Shinu Izumo nodded in agreement. The two looked at each other and laughed. Backgammon is really fun, Ziti. You must try it after the exam, Shinu Izumo said with the look of a heavy game enthusiast. In his heart, he was thinking, this is definitely a sure thing. Gangziti must have really not reviewed. His only enemy is Shisui. I'll try it when I have time. The novels I read recently are really good. Izumo, you can read them when you have time. Gangziti smiled and recommended novels to Shinu Izumo, as if he really read those novels. It should be a sure thing. Izumo really didn't review and was always playing games. My only opponent in this exam is Shisui. Gangziti thought to himself, haha, I will definitely read it when I have time. Shinu Izumo responded with a smile, feeling very good. What are you two talking about so happily? Hongdu appeared from behind and patted the shoulders of the two. Talking about how to play on the weekend. Gangziti explained with a smile. Play? Didn't you review at all? Hongdu asked. Of course, Hongdu. Have you been reviewing these 2 days? Shinu Izumo asked with a surprised look. No, I just reviewed for a day yesterday. Hongdu thought for a while and said, in fact, she only read for half an hour on Sunday night. But when Shinu Izumo asked, she had to review for 2 days. Hongdu felt embarrassed to say half an hour, so she lied and said 1 day. Oh, you reviewed for 1 day. That's good, Gangziti said with a smile. It was just 1 day, which was no threat to him who had reviewed for half a month. Gangziti even thought that Hongdu did not review enough and should have reviewed for the last 2 days. Don't forget your brothers when you get a good test and get rewarded by your family, Shinu Izumo joked with a smile. Hee, it's not impossible for you to review your games and novels. Hongdu was in a good mood. Then the 3 of them walked to the ninja school together, talking and laughing, and entered the classroom to wait for the exam to begin. Soon Muyu and Weta Ai walked into class 1 of grade 1. This time, Muyu was selected to supervise her class. Teacher Muyu. The students in the class greeted Muyu one after another, and Muyu responded with a smile. Are you here to supervise this time, Teacher Muyu? Gangziti asked. Muyu nodded in affirmation. Teacher Muyu, can I ask you questions later if I don't know how to answer them? Hongdu asked knowingly. Snap. Muyu tapped Hongdu's little head with 2 fingers together and said, you can ask, but the answer is only this. It hurts. Hongdu covered the place where she was tapped and became honest all of a sudden. Everyone check if you have brought the test tools. The test will start in 10 minutes. Muyu reminded. Some cautious students began to check after hearing Muyu's reminder. Teacher Muyu, you are so popular among the students, Weta Kai exclaimed. Just now she noticed that almost all the students greeted Muyu. This is a rare situation. After all, in a class of 40, there are always some introverted or quiet ones, and some people will feel that so many people are greeting me, and I won't notice me or speak even if I say hello. After all, I am their class teacher, Muyu replied. 10 minutes later, Muyu announced the start of the theoretical test, and then distributed the test papers with Weta Kai. The students in the first grade class also gave Muyu face. No one spoke during the whole exam process. They were all doing the questions quietly. Muyu and Weta Kai took turns to patrol. While patrolling, Weta Kai curiously glanced at the students who were doing the questions. This kind of quiet atmosphere is still rare. Probably because it is a ninja school, the students are more lively. After watching, Wedekai was a little surprised. She looked at a few people casually and felt that the questions were all correct at a glance. Teacher Muyu, the average score of your class in this exam is estimated to lead the whole grade again. Wedekai whispered to Muyu what she had just seen. It's hard to say before the test results come out. Maybe the results of other classes are also very good. Muyu responded softly. Although it is true that the results are good, Muyu thinks it is better to keep a low profile. When the exam was over and the test papers were collected, the atmosphere of the first grade class was different. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar 6 equals 9 plus book _ bar first published this novel. It's finally over. Gang Ziti showed a smile like being liberated. He was also very tired from studying hard every day and having to find ways to stop Shinayu Izumo from studying. Yeah, after the practical exam, we'll have a long vacation, Shinayu Izumo also said with a relaxed smile. After the theory exam, he finally didn't have to act every day to stop Gang Ziti from reviewing. Ziti, Izumo, how do you feel about the exam? Hongdu asked. It's just so-so. This exam feels quite difficult. Gang Ziti sighed and said, yeah, there are many questions that I don't have any ideas for, so I just wrote them casually. I don't know how many points I can get. Shinayu Izumo showed a worried look on his face. Is it difficult? I feel it's quite simple. Could it be that yesterday's review worked? Hongdu scratched her head and said, why did she feel like she had seen this scene somewhere before? Shisui, how do you feel about the exam? Hongdu asked when she saw Shisui preparing to leave. It's just so-so. Shisui paused and answered. He felt that it was similar to the last exam. Nothing to say. Why am I the only one who has simple ideas? Did I do well in the exam? Hongdu felt that the reward dumpling was getting closer and closer to her. Tomorrow is the practical test. Everyone must perform well and let the female invigilator see our level of ninjutsu. Hongdu remembered their long-time plan to persuade the physical training teacher to quit. Of course, this time we must get a reliable physical training teacher from the school. Gang Ziti nodded. In fact, I think it would be great to have Teacher Muyu teach, but it would be too tiring for Teacher Muyu to have so many classes. Shinu Izumo said regretfully. Other students also responded, saying that they would definitely give 120% of their strength tomorrow to perform well. P.S. Please read and vote for the monthly ticket, and please give me all kinds of data. Brothers, don't keep reading on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Life and death will depend on these few days. Book recommendation. My stand is Steve's son. Do you know what this is? Thanos raised his golden gloves, and the 6 infinity stones flashed with ripples of light. I will snap my fingers, and you will turn into dust in the wind. Dad doesn't believe it. Fang Mo, wearing an endless suit, shook his head slowly, and pointed the sword of the universe in his hand directly at Thanos' shiny purple head. Don't talk about the infinity stones today. Even the heart of the universe can't save your life. Do you know what this is? This is the Tao Seeking Jade. Akaya Madara stood in midair and laughed wantonly. It is the strongest spear and the strongest shield. There is nothing it can't destroy. You really haven't seen anything hard. Fang Mo grinned and took out a piece of bedrock. Dare you dare to compete with it? Is this the Philosopher's Stone? Edward stared blankly at the red crystal in front of him. It can ignore the law of equivalent exchange? Well, in a sense, it can only be regarded as the basis of equal exchange. Fang Mo touched the portable conversion table in his hand. But if you want, I can consider giving you a set. When the fourth disaster met the mysterious island module, this cube man finally began to wreak havoc on the heavens and the world. Chapter 66 True Ninjutsu Talent. The next day, the practical test was still held in the training ground as before. After all the students finished drawing lots, Muyu announced the official start of the practical test. Please invite candidate number 1, Gang Ziti, and candidate number 2, Feng Xingjai, to enter the examination room. Gang Ziti knew that as candidate number 1, he would definitely be the first to take the test, so he had warmed up in advance. Let me take the lead. Remember to cheer for me. Gang Ziti said goodbye to his 2 good brothers and walked into the examination space. Ziti, don't lose in the first game. Shinu Izumo encouraged Gang Ziti very face-saving. Fang Zhangjai and Gang Ziti walked into the venue together. The two did not communicate much, and they made opposing seals and started fighting immediately after Muyu shouted to start. Although he wanted to drive away the physical training teacher, he was not acting in the actual battle, but showing his specific qualities, so that the invigilator could see the gap between the student's ninjutsu level and physical training level. At the beginning of the battle, both of them used physical training to fight and test each other. In the first wave of probing attacks, Gang Ziti temporarily suppressed Fang Zhangjai with greater strength. Then, Minkoji began to play tactics. He first used the substitution technique to confuse Kodatetsu to distance himself, and then created two clones to confuse the view and look for the opportunity to attack. Minkoji's three-body technique was quite good, but Kodatetsu played it more colorfully than him. Kodatetsu first created a chair clone, and then two normal clones. He used the normal clone to confuse Minkoji, and then took the opportunity to cancel the chair clone and create a normal clone, and finally used the transformation technique to turn himself into a chair. Minkoji naturally would not be wary of a strange chair that could walk, and Kodatetsu seized the opportunity to defeat him with one blow. Hey, isn't this Kodatetsu? One of the three great ninjutsu talents that was rumored in the school before? I didn't expect this technique of confusing the enemy to have such a wonderful use. Ueda Ai praised Kodatetsu's combat wisdom, and he is already very proficient in the clone technique and transformation technique, which is even better than the students in my class. Ueda Ai exclaimed. She teaches the second-year ninjutsu class, and even the one with the best ninjutsu performance in her class is not as good as this Kodatetsu in front of her. In terms of the level of clone jutsu, Ueda Ai thinks Kodatetsu has reached a level sufficient for graduation. It is really a very standard clone jutsu. Kodatetsu's opponent, Minkoji, also performed very well, enough to beat most of the students in her class. Ueda Ai praised Kodatetsu while grading him. She gave Kodatetsu a full score of 10 for the ninjutsu part. It is really a bit too much not to give a full score for this level of ninjutsu in the first grade. As for the physical, Ueda Ai only gave 7.1 points, which can only be said to be above the passing line compared to the ninjutsu. Not to mention Minkoji's physical, Ueda Ai only gave 5 points. Both of them performed averagely in strike and throwing, and Ueda Ai also only gave 5 points. But the level of hand seals of both of them is pretty good. Kodatetsu scored 8 points and Minkoji scored 7.5 points. Finally, Ueda Ai calculated the total score, and Kodatetsu scored as high as 30.1 points. This score is already a very high score. The ninja school's actual combat scoring is very strict. Generally, more than 20 points means a very good level, and more than 30 points means very excellent. Ziti usually studies very hard. Muyu nodded. Although he didn't know whether Gang Ziti practiced at home, he was sure that Gang Ziti must have studied at home. When collecting the papers, he took a quick look and knew that the score would be very high. The second exam is about to begin. Candidate number 3 Shinayu Izumo and candidate number 4 Koizumi Yuki are ready to start the exam. Muyu shouted after scoring. This time it's up to me. Shinayu Izumo and Gang Ziti who were walking towards him clapped their hands and laughed. Izumo, come on. Hongdu raised her little fist to cheer for her good brother. Shinayu Izumo was more stable in battle than Gang Ziti. He didn't disguise himself as a chair like Gang Ziti, but found the opportunity to use the enemy confusing technique to conjure a 3-meter-tall green-faced and fanged monster to scare Koizumi Yuki and win the battle in one fell swoop. Kamizuki Izumo. This is one of the 3 great ninjutsu talents, right? He is indeed a talent. Ueda Ai felt that Gang Zaitetsu and Kamizuki Izumo were indeed talents in a commendatory sense. Kamizuki Izumo's ninjutsu level was also very outstanding, and Ueda Ai also gave Kamizuki Izumo's ninjutsu a full score, with a total score of 30.5. Kamizuki Izumo's hand seals were slightly higher than Gang Zaitetsu's. Ueda Ai thought that the quality of the students in the first 2 games was relatively high, but later she found out that she was wrong. In the 5th game, She did not give any students ninjutsu less than 8 points. All students' 3-body skills were excellent. Candidate number 11 Mitarashi Anko and candidate number 12 Shimakiji are preparing for the exam. You two watch carefully. Let you see what the real enemy confusing technique is. Anko said that Gangzai Tetsu and Kamzuki Izumo's enemy confusing techniques were not good. What's wrong with the chair? Isn't it enough to win? Gangzai Tetsu was not convinced. Can it be more terrifying than my illusion? Kamzuki Izumo also felt that his direction was the best. Hongdu did not respond to the two of them. Actual combat is the best demonstration. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. Shimakiji's physical skills are not as good as Hongdu's, and he was suppressed by Hongdu from the beginning. Hongdu took advantage of the situation and quickly formed 7 or 8 clones in the appearance of Shimakiji, and then used the transformation technique to become Shimakiji's appearance. In an instant, Shimakiji was running around in the examination room, and Hongdu's figure disappeared directly. Teacher Muyu, your student is indeed a talent, Weda Ai said in amazement. She has been a teacher for several years and has no idea how many times she has supervised the exams. This is the first time she has seen such a situation. Her thinking is different from that of ordinary people. Muyu thought for a while and said. Shimakiji looked at himself running around, and his heart was very confused. He was careful about each of himself, but in the end he was caught off guard and was solved by Hongdu with one blow. Hongdu's ninjutsu naturally got 10 points. Weda Ai can even say that Hongdu got 10 points because the full score is only 10 points. Hongdu's ninjutsu level is stronger than that of Gangzai, Tetsujin, and Izumo. In the end, Hongdu got a high score of 36, with full marks except for taijutsu and shuriken throwing. Weda Ai felt that she was not invigilating the first grade, but rather the third and fourth grade. The ninjutsu level of these students was too high, beyond her imagination. She also invigilated the first grade class last time. Although it was excellent at that time, it was not as exaggerated as it is now. At that time, she also said that the level of the first grade class was almost the same as that of the second grade she led. Now she feels that her class is not worthy. Teacher Muyu, the ninjutsu level of your class is really amazing. The teachers of the entire ninja school should learn from you how to teach ninjutsu. Weda Ai praised. 1 or 2 students may be outstanding because of their own talent. The outstanding ninjutsu performance of the whole class must be due to the good teaching of the teacher. How can there be so many geniuses? It's all the students' own efforts. I just try my best to teach again, Muyu said modestly. With the mastery of the 3 ninjutsu and the teaching skills, let alone the school teachers, there is no one in Konoha who can teach these 3 ninjutsu better than him. Contestant number 38, Uchiha Shisui, prepare for the exam. Hearing Shisui's name, Weda Ai perked up. This was the student she was most looking forward to. Last time, he showed strength comparable to Kakashi, who was the same age. Chapter 67 Focus Battle. Please invite candidate number 37 Akasaki Isamu and candidate number 38 Uchiha Shisui to enter the examination room. When Akasaki Isamu heard that his opponent was Shisui, he was stunned for a while. There is no doubt that Shisui is definitely the opponent that all the students in the first grade of the first year do not want to meet the most. There is no other reason, because Shisui is too strong. In the last exam, Shisui won the first place in the class and the first place in the grade with a crushing attitude. Even the second grade Redbin can only be crushed in front of him. The score of the practical exam is determined by the performance in the battle. If you are killed directly, the invigilator cannot see your performance and the score will be lower. But since Shisui has been drawn as an opponent, Akasaki Isamu can only admit his bad luck and enter the examination room. After Muyu announced the start of the exam, Akasaki Isamu didn't care about anything else and used the 3-body techniques directly to show his proficiency in the 3-body techniques. This student has a good understanding of the exam scoring rules. Weda Ai nodded and said, not thinking that there was anything wrong with Akasaki Isamu. Shisui watched Akasaki Isamu's performance quietly, and when he felt that it was almost done, he threw out 2 shurikens to destroy the clone. and then rushed forward and knocked Akasaki Isamu down with 2 punches. The difference in strength between the two is too big. I couldn't see any change in Shisui's strength compared to the last time. Akasaki Isamu's strength was too far apart from Shisui's, and it was impossible to see anything at all. When the battle between student number 39 and student number 40 was over, Ai had completed the first round of scoring. She glanced casually, and among the 40 students, none of them scored below 8 points, and the average score was extremely exaggerated. I guess you will get praise from the 3rd generation again in this exam. I guess you will be called in for questioning if you report this score. I joked. Then we will probably be questioned together. Showed Ai's score, which was about the same as Ai. Although they were students in his class, excellent performance was excellent, and he didn't need to avoid suspicion and deliberately give low scores. As the battles continued, students inevitably encountered the time to fight with friends. Kamatsuki Izumo eliminated Gang Zaitetsu with tears, and Hongdu eliminated Kamatsuki Izumo with tears. Hahaha, Zaitetsu, your confuse enemy technique is not good at all. Kamatsuki Izumo, who defeated his friend, used a smile to hide his sadness and comforted his good brother. Gang Zaitetsu, he swore to practice every day during the holidays, and he would definitely defeat Kamatsuki Izumo to regain his face in the next semester. Hahaha, Izumo and Zaitetsu, how could you two ninjutsu talents be the opponents of my genius Hongdu? Hongdu, who entered the class practical finals, was very proud with her hands on her hips. The two looked at each other and decided to hit Hongdu hard on the day when the theoretical results came out. Please ask the examinee Mitarashi Hongdu and the examinee Uchiha Shisui to enter the examination venue. The class practical examination entered the final stage. Ai watched the battle seriously. Hongdu was the second in the grade in the last exam. It can be said that she is the second strongest person in the first grade after Shisui. She should be able to let Shisui show more. Hongdu knew that Shisui was not easy to deal with, so she used the confuse enemy technique directly at the beginning of the battle. But this time she made some changes. She first split into 7 clones of Shisui, and when the clones interfered with Shisui, she used the transformation technique to turn herself into Shisui's appearance, and then split into another clone of her own appearance. But Shisui was not as easy to fool as ordinary students. Even though there were many illusions that kept interfering with his vision, he still did not lose sight of the real Anko. He defeated Anko by using a flash technique to reach her side. Flash technique. I guess I have to put him in the 4th grade to see more. Ai thought to herself. The battle between Shisui and Anko was also one-sided, but Shisui showed a little more. With Shisui winning the first place in the class practical, the class practical on the 2nd day of the exam ended. When Muyu and Ai went back to the office together, they met Ikutani Young, who was shouting on the way. Why is it that Might Guy and Uchiha Obito are so strong? Ikutani Young was puzzled. He didn't see how awesome they were during class. This time he was also chosen to be the invigilator of his class. After watching the performance of Might Guy and Uchiha Obito for a day, he felt that even Hyuga Kagami might not be able to beat them. Ikigami felt very strange. How could 2 well-known last-place students be so powerful in his hands? Could he be a hidden teaching expert? Ikigami, who had some knowledge in his mind, quickly denied this answer, because he was also in charge of a 3rd-year class, and the overall level of the class could only be said to be average. Ikigami saw Muyu and Uchiha and told them about this. Maybe they have accumulated a lot of experience? Uchiha said uncertainly. In any case, isn't it a good thing for students to be strong? Muyu said with a smile. Ikigami felt that what Muyu said made sense. No matter why they were so powerful this semester, the bonus issued by the school was not false. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. The 3rd day of the grade actual combat began. The grade practical test scorer is randomly selected by the grade invigilator. Ai was selected, but Muyu was not. However, after all, she is a 1st grade teacher, so Muyu went to watch for a while. Ai scored around and then found that the top 2 sent by some classes were not as good as the ninjutsu talents in Muyu's class. This limit of 2 people per class should be changed. If it were not for this limit, there would be at least 6 in the top 8 of the grade in the first grade. Weda Ai thought to herself. She felt that such a rule was a bit unfair to a class like the first grade, which was particularly excellent overall. Obviously, they were strong enough but had no chance to participate in the grade practical test. Muyu left after watching the first round and went to the 4th grade practical test room. There was no suspense that Shisui would get the first place in the grade. He was more concerned about the situation in the 4th grade. Might Guy and Obito both had training tasks to get the first place. With 2 months of hard training and improvement, Muyu felt that the rewards for the training tasks must be very good, and he was looking forward to it. When Muyu arrived, the 4th grade had just completed the first round and was in the process of 8-4. Candidate number 1, Hinata Komodo, and candidate number 4, Might Guy, please enter the examination room. When the invigilator's voice sounded, the students watching began to discuss quietly. Judging from the results of the last exam, this battle was undoubtedly the focus of this grade's actual combat, because the 2 sides fighting were the first and second in the last exam. Chapter 68. Who will be first? Might Guy, do you still remember me? You are really strong, but now that you have met me here, you can only stop here this time. Hyuga Kamen said with a look of pity after making the seal of opposition. Although Might Guy has the second strongest strength, he can only fall in the second round when he meets the first. Who are you? Might Guy scratched his head, trying to recall the opponent in front of him, but found that he could not remember it at all. Are you Hyuga Daimon? Might Guy vaguely remembered the invigilators shouting just now. Hard, fist hard. Hyuga Kamen felt that Might Guy was humiliating himself. I am Hyuga Kamen who defeated you in the last exam. It's the fire gate, not the gate. Hyuga Kamen couldn't help correcting him. He decided to fight and must let Might Guy show some color. I know. Might Guy made the seal of opposition and nodded. The exam begins. As soon as the invigilator finished speaking, Hyuga Kamen opened his eyes directly, and the meridians around his eyes burst directly, making Hyuga Kamen's face look a little hideous. With the help of the Byakugan, Hyuga Kamen saw through everything about Might Guy. He could easily see Might Guy's meridians and the chakra flowing. Without hesitation, Hyuga Kamen chose to gather chakra in his palms and take the initiative to attack. With the 2 close combat weapons of the soft fist and the Byakugan, Hyuga Kamen didn't think anyone in the ninja school could be stronger than him in close combat. The Byakugan allowed him to see through the enemy's movements, and the soft fist combined with the Byakugan could directly inject chakra into the enemy's acupuncture points to block the flow of chakra. But something Hyuga Kamen didn't expect happened. The fist he swung at Might Guy was quickly pinched by Might Guy. Hyuga Kamen continued to attack Might Guy's meridians with his other hand, but was also caught. Hyuga Kamen quickly began to attack with his legs, but Might Guy was best at kicking. Might Guy directly let go of Hyuga Kamen with both hands and kicked out a very fast whirlwind kick, kicking Hyuga Kamen back 3 meters. How is it possible? I have clearly seen through it, but the body. Hyuga Kamen's hands trembled, and he looked at Might Guy in disbelief. He had just seen through Might Guy's movements, but found that his body was unable to react in time. This was the first time he encountered such a situation. Hyuga Kamen actually lost in the physical battle. The students watching were stunned. Since Kakashi graduated, their class had basically been dominated by Hyuga Kamen. Everyone who tried to compete with Hyuga Kamen in physical skills finally got a painful lesson. Is Might Guy so fierce? He rushed to the 2nd place in the grade last time, and this time he wants to rush to the 1st place in the grade. Might Guy's fierce performance immediately won many people's surprise. Come on, Might Guy. Ikutani Young saw that Might Guy actually suppressed Hyuga Kamen, who was the first in the grade in the last exam, and couldn't help but cheer for Might Guy. He seemed to see a generous bonus waving to him. Ahem, Mr. Ikutani, you are the invigilator this time. Pay attention. The invigilator next to him could not help but whisper a reminder when he saw Ikutani Young excitedly shouting come on. Ikutani Young only then reacted and quickly closed his mouth, but he could not stop smiling. Although Might Guy has the upper hand, the final result is still hard to say. As long as he is hit by the soft fist once, the offensive rhythm will be gone. A teacher commented. Some teachers nodded. If Hyuga Kamen made a mistake, it would only hurt for a while, but if Might Guy was hit by the soft fist, it would be a big deal. It is no joke to have chakra injected into the body. In other words, Hyuga Kamen had many opportunities to make mistakes, and Might Guy would be at risk of defeat if he made a mistake once. Iketani Young took a look and found that the person who spoke was Hyuga Kamen's homeroom teacher. He did not refute. After all, Hyuga Kamen had won the first place so many times, and Iketani Young was not very confident. What happened next was beyond many people's expectations. Hyuga Kamen tried very hard to launch several attacks on Might Guy, but he didn't hit him once. Instead, Might Guy took the opportunity to kick Hyuga Kamen when he was attacking. Good guy, cover your eyes. People who don't know would think that Might Guy is the one with the white eyes. The students were impressed by Might Guy. In the past, Hyuga Kamen saw through the opponent's movements and easily dodged them. But this time the roles were completely reversed. You only see Kai's current body movements, but you don't know what he has experienced. Obito heard the discussion of the students next to him and couldn't help but think of his tragic experience with Might Guy. If you are hit once, you have to do 2 questions. At the beginning of the battle, there are dozens of questions. You must hit the opponent without being hit to reduce the number of questions. It is precisely this kind of terrifying training that has created Might Guy's body movements today. Obito has almost finished the questions he had divided into installments before. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar is the first to publish this novel. Damn it, what's going on? Hyuga Kamen, who had been at a disadvantage, was a little anxious. He didn't understand why it turned out like this. Might Guy wasn't that strong in the last battle, so how come his strength has improved so much in 2 months? Hyuga Kamen, who was anxious to turn the situation around, revealed more flaws. Might Guy concentrated his chakra on his legs and exploded, seizing the flaw and kicking out his best kick at high speed. Konoha Big Cyclone. Bang! The high-speed rotating leg strengthened by chakra kicked Hyuga Kamen hard, directly kicking Hyuga Kamen to the ground and losing his ability to fight. Candidate number 4 Might Guy wins. The Invigilator announced Might Guy's victory. All the Invigilators who scored gave Might Guy a full score of 10 points on his physical skills. Hyuga Kamen's physical skills score was given 9.9. But the teachers knew that the difference between the two was more than just 0.1 points. It's really hard for Might Guy to fight against Hyuga Kamen. Fortunately, he was not hit by the soft fist once, otherwise it would be terrible. Iketani Young said with a smile. He had already felt the breath of the bonus. Hyuga Kamen's class teacher opened his mouth, but finally said nothing. It seems that Might Guy will be the first this time. Even Hyuga Kamen was defeated by him. The students watching felt that the first place in this great exam had been announced in advance. Not necessarily. Uchiha Obito's fire escape ninjutsu is very strong. Even if Might Guy's physical skills are stronger, can he still resist fire escape ninjutsu at this stage? Uchiha Shisui couldn't help but refute. He lost to Obito again in this class actual battle, so he hoped that Obito could get the first place. Soon Obito also proved with his fighting power that Uchiha Chiyuo's words were not empty words. The first of Class 6, Shiranui Genma, was easily defeated by Obito. The powerful fire escape and excellent physical skills directly allowed Obito to replace the defeated Hyuga Kamen and become a strong contender for the first place. If he didn't have to supervise and grade the exam, Ikegami Young would have wanted to take Miyu to the pub to drink. With these 2 students in hand, why would he worry about not having bonuses or not having enough bonuses? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Training Mission Settlement. Please invite examinee Might Guy and examinee Uchiha Obito to enter the examination room and prepare for the exam. As everyone expected, the final competition for the first place in the great practical combat was between Might Guy and Obito. Might Guy defeated the first place in the last exam, Hyuga Kamen, while Obito showed great strength in the battles with other contestants. "Come on, Obito." Nohara Rin, who was watching the game on the side, clenched her fist to cheer for Obito. "Rin, just wait and see, I will win." Obito waved to Nohara Rin with a confident smile. This time he was really determined to get the first place. In order to strengthen his strength, he suffered a lot from that hateful guy Kakashi. After a month of nature change and ninjutsu training, and a month of intensive physical training, Obito is no longer the Obito who was beaten by physical skills and couldn't use ninjutsu 2 months ago. "Teacher Miyu, let me show you my progress." Obito noticed that Miyu had also arrived at the examination site. "I will be the first." Might Guy smiled brightly, and his 2 rows of white teeth were particularly bright under the sunlight. In terms of self-confidence, he would not lose to Obito. Even when he failed the entrance exam to the ninja school, he still believed that he would become the strongest. "Besides, Teacher Miyu is watching, so I can't lose even more." Might Guy thought in his heart. He always remembered Miyu's kindness to him, and he also didn't forget Miyu's words that the improvement of his disciple's strength was the best reward for him. He wanted to show his strongest strength to Miyu. "Then let's give it a try." The actual combat exam is not like the previous training where you can't use ninjutsu, Obito said with the seal of opposition. "Then let's compete to see whose youth can burn more fiercely." Might Guy also made the seal of opposition according to the rules. Looking at the 2 people who made the seal of opposition, Miyu made some deductions about the result of the game in his heart. The 2 are not much different in strength. Although Obito's physical skills are not as good as Might Guy's, Obito knows 2 fire escape ninjutsu, while Might Guy only knows 3 body techniques in ninjutsu. However, Miyu feels that the probability of Might Guy winning will be slightly higher. Although Might Guy usually looks a bit stupid, he is actually very calm in battle, while Obito is a bit jumpy and is more easily distracted during battle. So even though their strengths are almost the same, Miyu is still more optimistic about Might Guy. The exam begins. Not long after the 2 of them made the seal of opposition, the invigilator announced the start of the battle. Konoha Whirlwind. As soon as the invigilator finished speaking, Might Guy rushed out instantly and kicked Obito with his best physical technique at high speed. Obito had been kicked by this kick countless times and was prepared in his heart. He instantly stepped back to the side to avoid the kick. Then Obito quickly threw several shuriken at Might Guy while stepping back. Might Guy vaguely guessed Obito's tactics, but Obito's shuriken throwing skills were good, forcing Might Guy to dodge backwards. Fire style. Great fireball technique. After Obito pulled away, he didn't dare to waste a second, and immediately made a seal to perform his best fire style. Whoosh! Blazing fire continued to spew out of Obito's mouth, and a huge fireball 2 people high quickly formed and smashed towards Might Guy. It's good to have a family ninja. Even if you haven't graduated yet, you can still learn such a powerful ninjutsu. A student looked at the terrifying fireball and couldn't help showing an envious expression. He was also a 4th-year student, and the only ninjutsu he had mastered was the 3-body technique taught in school. Ninjutsu is not that easy to learn. Even if you are given a ninjutsu scroll, you may not be able to learn it. The 2nd-generation ninja next to him retorted. His family is not a ninja clan, but his parents are ninjas, and he has only mastered the 3-body technique. This level of fire escape is not the level that a student should have. No, it's not even the level that a genin should have. A teacher who knows fire escape ninjutsu couldn't help but sigh. The fire escape ninjutsu he performed himself was only at this level. Yes, I can only say that he is worthy of being a student of the Uchiha clan. A teacher agreed. The fireballs kept hitting Might Guy, and Might Guy directly avoided the sharp edge and retreated to the side at a rapid speed, and soon he would run out of the attack range of the fireball. Obito quickly threw out several shurikens to block Might Guy's movements. The great fireball cannot turn, but what was beyond Obito's expectation was that Might Guy actually used a kunai to block all the shurikens he shot, and successfully evacuated before the great fireball exploded. Fortunately, Obito's shuriken throwing is a little worse than Shisui, otherwise I would be injured. Might Guy took a deep breath and felt a little relieved. When fighting with Shisui, Shisui's shuriken throwing caused him a lot of trouble. Having felt the oppression of Shisui, it is just right to deal with Obito now. The Great Fireball is still too difficult to hit people. I should have used the Great Dragon Fire earlier. Obito felt a little regretful. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. He also felt that the Great Dragon Fire would be better, but last time he won the first place in the junior ninjutsu competition with the Great Fireball. Obito felt that it would be more meaningful to win the first place in the grade with the Great Fireball. But there was no time for Obito to reflect. Might Guy had already taken this opportunity to burst chakra from his legs and rushed up. Konoha Whirlwind. Might Guy once again used his best kicking technique. Okay, your speed is not as fast as Kakashi's instant body technique. Obito couldn't help but smile proudly after dodging Might Guy's attack. He felt that Might Guy's physical skills didn't seem to be that difficult to deal with. Then Obito tried to fight with Might Guy and physical skills. Then Obito found that he was still overthinking. He was not as strong and fast as Might Guy. Soon Obito was beaten back and could only dodge with his excellent body skills. Although Uchiha Obito is good at fire escape, Might Guy's physical skills are also excellent. If this continues, Uchiha Obito will lose. A teacher noticed Obito's shortcomings. How could he beat Might Guy in physical skills without making good use of his strengths? Ikutani Young smiled and said nothing. Anyway, both of them were students in his class. It didn't matter who won, and the prize money would not be lost. Seeing that the ending was going in the direction he had deduced, Miyu's heart did not fluctuate too much. In fact, it doesn't matter who wins, since both of them have training tasks to complete. Compared to the winner, he is more curious about what rewards will be settled later. Konoha Big Tornado. Might Guy delivered his best kick so far, surpassing any previous one. The speed that Might Guy suddenly displayed caught Obito off guard. He failed to dodge the attack and was kicked several meters away. The 4th grade practical exam is over, and the final winner is Might Guy. The invigilator announced that the final exam was completely over. At the moment the exam ended, Miyu's system also sent a report that the training task had entered the settlement. Everyone should try to read it on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. Next week is the last chance. Whether you fail or not depends on this time. Chapter 70-45 Chakra. Disciple Might Guy completes training mission, and receives rewards. Chakra plus 1000, rock breathing, mastery. Disciple Uchiha Obito completes training mission, and receives rewards. Chakra plus 700, great fire extinguishing, proficient. Several messages popped up on the system panel quickly. It seems that the final completion degree still has a great impact on the reward. Miyu looked at the difference in rewards between the two and roughly understood the reward mechanism of training missions. Training mission rewards are composed of 2 parts. One is the strength improved during the training mission, and the other is the mission goal. Obito's physical skills during the mission were similar to Might Guy's, but he did not complete the goal of being the first, so the reward was much worse than Might Guy's. Miyu set his sights on the reward of rock breathing. He recognized at a glance that this was not a ninjutsu from the Naruto world, because he had seen a certain ninjutsu. With the experience of getting the shave last time, Miyu knew that the system would also reward things from other worlds, and then localize them for Naruto. Recalling the decades of rock breathing training memories that suddenly appeared in his mind, Miyu thought that it was indeed localized. After reading the memory, Miyu felt that the Naruto version of rock breathing was enough to be called a forbidden technique. Mastering rock breathing can use full concentration breathing at critical moments to instantly burst out terrifying power. Mastering rock breathing can keep you in full concentration breathing state for 24 hours. Full concentration breathing, which is always in progress, can effectively exercise your body strength and improve your strength. After mastering rock breathing, you can use stronger breathing, so that the whole body chakra bursts and strengthens itself to enter the striped state, and greatly improves your strength in all directions. However, using the striped state consumes chakra extremely and puts great pressure on the body. It is more suitable for me than the 8 gates of Dunjia. Miyu nodded secretly in his heart. As long as he does not actively enter the striped state, rock breathing is absolutely beneficial and harmless to him. He can better exercise his body at ordinary times and can also burst out quite powerful power in battle. After thinking about it carefully, Muyu found that the 8 gates of Danjia and rock breathing are actually a perfect match. The 8 gates of Danjia can open the door in the body to increase chakra, but the chakra is too violent to use ninjutsu. But the striped state of rock breathing does not require delicate operation of chakra at all. The huge amount of chakra from the 8 gates can be used to maintain the chakra needed for the striped state. When using the 8 gates and stripes at the same time, the only thing to consider is whether the body can withstand it. This is when the beauty of learning breathing techniques comes. Breathing techniques can increase physical strength. Muyu thinks that the 8 gates plus breathing techniques are a good combination. 7 gates plus stripes are much safer than directly opening the death gate. Muyu feels that this time it is really a big explosion. The skilled level fire extinguisher that Obito exploded is good, but it is much worse than the Naruto version of the rock breathing. Muyu opened his personal panel. Name, Hanyu Muyu. Age, 18. Chakra, 11,300. Skills, Cook. 3-finger seal, fire style, great fire extinguishing, shave, earth style, earth spear, rock breathing. Evaluation: you have mastered many ninjutsu, including high-level ninjutsu and forbidden techniques with terrifying power. You can burst out amazing strength when you want. Your strength can be called elite among many jonin. Looking at the chakra that has successfully broken through to 5 digits, Muyu felt happy. It only took him 1 semester to go from 4,300 when he just crossed over to 11,300 now. There are 3 semesters in a year in the ninja school. If he can maintain this growth every semester, he can increase his chakra by 21,000 a year without counting the growth during holidays. My chakra now should be 4.5 Kakashi, Muyu thought to himself. In his previous life, people often used Kakashi as a unit of chakra measurement, but he used Kakashi when he was a child, so he was called Kakashi. The first place was announced, and the exam was over. The teachers and students left. Are you okay, Obito? Nohara-rin asked as he trotted over to Obito. What can happen to me? Just a kick. Obito didn't finish his words when he twisted his body to the spot where Might Guy had just kicked him because of his quick movements. He gasped in pain on the spot. Don't be so stubborn, let me help you. Nohara-rin said helplessly with his hand on his forehead. No, I'm really fine. I just lost because of carelessness. What can happen? Obito gritted his teeth and continued to be stubborn. He was really unwilling to lose this time. He lost under the gaze of Muyu and Nohara-rin. In the future, Kakashi would not be able to refute him when he mocked him for not having won first place. Mr. Muyu, seeing Muyu walking towards him, Obito's eyes were a little evasive. How is it? Are you okay? Do you want me to take you to the infirmary? Muyu asked with concern. Failed students need timely comfort. No, it's okay. Obito answered honestly. He felt that except for a little pain, there was nothing wrong. He had rejected the invigilator's suggestion to go to the infirmary before. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. Let's go and take a look. It would be bad if we get hurt, Muyu said in a gentle voice. Teacher Muyu is right. Let's go to the infirmary. Nohara-rin agreed. Then Lin, you go back first. Teacher Muyu and I will go to the infirmary. Obito could not refuse the two people's simultaneous suggestions. I'll go with you. Nohara-rin was a little worried about Obito. No need. Isn't Teacher Muyu here? Obito didn't want to trouble Nohara-rin too much. I'll go with Obito, Might Guy said. Fighting with all his strength did not affect his feeling that Obito was a companion. Look, there are 2 people with me. Lin, you go back first, Obito said. Nohara-rin thought about it and felt that Muyu was a reliable teacher. Coupled with Obito's strong persuasion, she finally went home alone. When in the infirmary, Muyu found a reason to send Might Guy away, and then started to talk to Obito. Don't be affected by the outcome of an exam. There are 2 exams in a semester and 6 exams in a year. If you can't do it this time, Just work harder next time, Muyu said earnestly. Don't think that you will let me down if you don't get the first place. Then one of you and Kai must let me down, and you have to let me down twice every semester, Muyu said in a joking tone. Obito laughed, then thought about it and felt that Muyu's words made sense. There is not only one exam, and there will be another chance next semester. Just keep working hard, as long as you practice hard and improve your strength. There is no such thing as letting me down. Muyu touched Obito's head and said, Teacher Muyu. Looking at Muyu's sincere and serious expression, Obito was very moved and decided to get the first place in the next semester to prove that he is not worse than Might Guy and is worthy of Muyu's teaching. Disciple Uchiha Obito sets training tasks. Training tasks. Get the first place in the practical test of the ninja school. Looking at the pop-up system prompt, Muyu smiled with relief. After comforting the defeated disciples, Muyu did not forget to reward the victorious disciples. He walked out of the infirmary with Might Guy. I remember that Naruto itself has a 7-day breathing method. The breathing method is actually not inconsistent. I will not add anything that is too inconsistent, and all foreign ones will be localized. If you want to see it, you can leave a message and I will refer to it as appropriate. Chapter 71 Interesting Sealing Technique. Okay, congratulations on getting the first place in the grade, Muyu said with a smile. Looking at Muyu's warm smile like the spring sun, Might Guy felt a little dazed. He has always been a person with sufficient confidence, and he has always believed that he can become the strongest through hard work day and night. Even before graduating from the ninja school, he has suffered many failures and setbacks. He failed the entrance examination and entered the ninja school through supplementary enrollment. His poor grades were called the last one. The first time he challenged Kakashi, he was killed in one blow. Most of the time he laughed and continued to work hard. Occasionally, he would have some doubts, but soon he would be determined to achieve his goal. Even so, Might Guy did not expect the change to come so quickly. In the practical test last semester, he could not even get into the top 20 in the class. As a result, the worst score this semester was the second in the grade. At the end of the semester, he got the first place in the practical test and became the strongest in the 4th grade. He knew very well who brought this change. It was Muyu. Muyu taught him physical skills and gave him precious secret medicine. It was Muyu who made him grow up in such a short time. This is all thanks to your teaching, Mr. Muyu. Might Guy clenched his right fist and was moved to tears. Don't erase your own efforts. My teaching is effective, but your hard work is the key to your first place. Keep working hard like this and you will definitely achieve your dream. Muyu encouraged. Might Guy's blood boiled at what Muyu said, as if he had seen the day when he became the strongest in physical skills. He wanted to do push-ups on the spot to exercise his body. This is the training method and experience of Shave. Take it back and take a look. I will teach you how to practice during training tomorrow morning. Muyu handed a scroll to Might Guy with a smile on his face. You gave your disciple Shave's training scroll. The disciple is very grateful and rewarded a big critical hit, and obtained the Konoha Dragon God Mastery. Under the huge emotional impact, a mastery-level advanced physical skill was directly exploded to Muyu, and a large number of memories about the practice of the Konoha Dragon God appeared in Muyu's mind. It's this physical skill. It can't be handed over to students for the time being. Muyu recalled the memory of this skill in the original work. In the animation, this taijutsu is an advanced taijutsu developed by a taijutsu ninja named Mr. Chen. According to the plot, even Mr. Chen's own disciples have not yet learned the Konoha Dragon God, so it would be a bit abstract for others to use it. However, even if there is no copyright issue, Muyu is not going to teach this taijutsu to his disciples. This taijutsu requires a lot of body and chakra, and it is not something that should be learned at this stage. Mr. Muyu, I know. I will watch it carefully when I get home, Might Guy replied with gratitude. When Muyu taught Shisui before, he wanted to learn this instant body technique called Shave. So when Muyu gave him the training scroll of Shave, Might Guy immediately put it away as if he had found a treasure. You don't have to go to my place to practice today. Relax and do something you want to do. Muyu thought about it and said, He was paving the way for Might Guy's training task. Obito was comforted and encouraged by him to set up the training task of getting the first place in the grade again, but Might Guy has not yet started a new training task. There is no doubt that training tasks are an important part of obtaining rewards. Once completed, you can get a lot of chakra and various advanced rewards. So Muyu started thinking about how to trigger a new training task after the first task was settled 2 weeks before the final exam. The disciple who did not get the first place was very simple. He could get the first task again through verbal comfort and encouragement. As for the disciple who got the first place, he could trigger a new training task according to his personality, goal, and dream. As for Might Guy, Muyu thought that the training task of defeating Kakashi was good and would be easier to trigger, so Muyu asked Might Guy to do something he wanted to do. His strength had greatly increased and he got the first place in the grade. With such an improvement, he had to find his best friend and nemesis to challenge him. When Might Guy was defeated by Kakashi, it would be a good time to trigger the training task. Although the previous similar attempt failed and only triggered a training task, Muyu felt that it was not because of his thinking. It could only be said that the trust was not enough at that time and Might Guy did not know his ability. After all, the task was indeed triggered, but it was not the same as what he imagined. Might Guy nodded and decided to find Kakashi later. Since the start of the intensive training, Might Guy has never fought with Kakashi again. Might Guy has been itching to fight. After Obito finished the treatment, Muyu also went back to practice the sealing technique and watched the sealing technique knowledge given to him by Kushina. 10 days have passed since Kushina gave him the 3-finger seal. In fact, he had initially mastered it on the 6th day. The following time continued to improve and learn more about the sealing technique. With the continuous learning of the sealing technique, Muyu also learned more about the sealing technique. He discovered some interesting mechanisms in the sealing technique. Under the same chakra situation, the smaller the effect of the sealing technique, the stronger and more difficult it is to break the seal. The error-free version is read at 69 book bar 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. Take the 1-finger seal as an example. The sealing effect is to seal the chakra of the whole body, which is extremely easy to break. But if the effect of the 1-finger seal is improved to seal the chakra of a certain limb of the body, the firmness will increase sharply. Without changing the sealing effect, the more and stronger the chakra, the stronger the sealing technique can be performed. The 6 paths Chibaku Tensei that can seal Kaguya Otsutsuki is definitely the strongest sealing technique in Naruto, and the 6 paths Chibaku Tensei is also extremely limited. It can only be activated with the power of 6 yin and yang. Muyu probably guessed why the Uzumaki clan has a unique talent for sealing. Because the Uzumaki clan is born with powerful chakra. Chakra is everything. Muyu deeply felt the importance of chakra quantity. It can only be said that it is a good thing that I brought a plug-in when I traveled through time. Otherwise it would be difficult to gain a foothold in the ninja world even if I had the advantage of knowing the plot. When the holiday comes, the chakra increase may be slower, Muyu thought to himself. Entering the summer vacation, except for the reward for the exam settlement in 2 days, Muyu temporarily has no way to brush chakra and ninjutsu through the ninja school. Classes are also a considerable income from chakra. If all the courses in January are used to brush chakra instead of ninjutsu, about 800 chakras can be brushed. The advantage of not having classes is that Might Guy and Obito can have more time to practice with him. More training can accelerate the growth of students, and the chakra of the apprentice should be improved when he returns to the master. In the evening, Muyu bought fish and went to his home in the main city. Today he plans to make a delicious and beautiful new dish for Kushina and Minato. Please vote for the monthly ticket, please read it again, and add more on Monday. I will struggle one last time. Chapter 72. We agreed not to review, so you got a perfect score? Squirrel mandarin fish? Can squirrel and fish be delicious when cooked together? Kushina expressed her doubts. It shouldn't be squirrel and fish cooked together. Maybe the finished dish just looks like a squirrel, Minato said after washing the vegetables. Because he didn't wash the squirrel, there shouldn't be any squirrel in the dish. Minato is right. There is no squirrel in this dish. Muyu washed the scaled and gutted fish and explained. Squirrel mandarin fish is a very classic dish in Suzhou cuisine. which can be said to have both color, fragrance and taste. Miyu had watched many videos of this dish in her previous life and tried it once by herself, but because of her poor knife skills, the final product can only be said to look different from the original dish. But now with the skills of a chef, Miyu had already prepared the fish in her mind when she picked it up, but she hadn't started yet. Miyu first used the knife to cut off the fish bones on the back of the fish, leaving about 1 centimeter of the spine at the tail of the fish, and then spread the fish skin down and cut it into flower cuts with an oblique knife, with the knife reaching 4/5 of the meat. This step is very important. If there is a mistake, the appearance of the final product cannot be guaranteed. With the blessing of the chef's skills, Miyu finally perfectly reproduced the squirrel fish in her memory. The golden and crispy fish meat looks like a squirrel, and it is poured with the prepared sweet and sour soup. It not only looks beautiful, but also smells fragrant. Huh? How come I just chatted with Minato for a while, and the fish became like this? Kushina stared at the squirrel fish on the table in amazement. It is no exaggeration to say that she has never seen such a beautiful dish. In her impression, the first thing about dishes is to fill the stomach, and the second is to taste good. Minato stood up and walked to the table to watch the squirrel fish that had just come out of the pot up close. He was also very surprised that there was such a beautiful dish. This is the first time I think a dish is beautiful. Minato praised that Miyu's squirrel fish was really pleasing to the eye. Don't just look at it, try it, Miyu said with a smile. Kushina and Minato were not polite. They picked up the chopsticks and each picked up a piece of fish. The moment he ate the fish, Minato first felt the sweet and sour taste, followed by the crispy outside and tender inside of the fish, and then the sweet and sour taste that permeated the fish. After the trance, Minato quickly filled himself with a bowl of rice and started eating. This sweet and sour dish was really appetizing. No, one of Minato and I must know how to cook this dish, Kushina said seriously after finishing the meal. Although she still prefers braised pork, the appearance of squirrel mandarin fish adds too many points. No problem, I'll teach you, Miyu smiled and said. But this dish is much more difficult than braised pork, you should be mentally prepared, Miyu reminded. Braised pork does not need to consider the appearance. If the steps are good, the final product will not be too bad, but squirrel mandarin fish is different. The appearance is the soul of the squirrel mandarin fish dish. Once the appearance is wrong, it is basically equal to failure. I don't believe this dish can be more difficult than those high-level sealing techniques. Kushina has good confidence in herself and Minato. Miyu, how far have you practiced the three-finger seal? Have you encountered any problems? Minato asked about Miyu's practice of the seal technique. It feels much more difficult than the previous one-finger seal. I still don't have a clue after practicing for 10 days. Miyu sighed. Although he mastered it in 6 days, Kushina estimated that he should be able to complete it in a month. Miyu planned to say that he had completed it on the 27th day. Then Miyu told him about the problems he encountered on the first day. Looking like a studious newbie, Kushina and Minato answered Miyu's questions enthusiastically. Miyu did not waste this opportunity. In addition to some questions about pretending to be in progress, Miyu also asked some questions about the knowledge of the seal technique that he really did not understand. With Minato and Kushina, two masters of the seal technique, to answer his questions, Miyu gained a lot. He felt that the chef skill was just right. If there was no chef skill, the progress of the friendship plan would be much slower. 2 days after the final exam, Gangziti made an appointment with Shinryu Izumo and Hongdu to go to see the results together. After the three arrived at the agreed location, they went to school together. I got the second place in the practical test again. If the theoretical results are better, I can ask teacher Miyu for more rewards. Hongdu is in a very good mood today. Hongdu, didn't you think the questions were very simple when you finished the test before? You must have a high score. Gangziti said with a smile. Yes, we are miserable. We are not sure about many questions. Uchiha said with a worried look on his face. It's okay, I will treat you to breakfast after reading the results, Hongdu said with a generous look. Hongdu, is it true? Gangziti looked expectant. When have I ever lied to you? Hongdu asked with his hands on his hips. Gangziti and Uchiha looked at each other and shook their heads. They thought to themselves, What kind of person can be deceived by Hongdu? Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. When they were about to walk to the school, Hongdu remembered something, looked at the two of them suspiciously and asked, "You did so well in the last test. You didn't lie to me that you didn't do well in the test, did you?" "No way. I was lucky last time." Gang Ziti refused to admit it. "Yeah, we probably won't be so lucky this time." Shen Chu-yun sighed. "You can check the final exam on the bulletin board or go back to the classroom to look at the test papers." The three of them went back to the classroom. Miyu had already distributed the test papers to the corresponding students. The three of them said hello to Miyu and returned to their seats to look at the test papers. "Hey, why is it only 78 points? It's 2 points less than last time." Hong put down the test paper and scratched her hair. It was different from what she thought. 87 points was about right. "Ziti Chu-yun, what about you guys?" Hong asked with a worried face. How could she have the nerve to ask Teacher Miyu for a reward? "It seems that I had good luck in this exam. I got a little higher than you." Gang Ziti put the paper roll on the desk with the back facing up and said with a smile, "Me too. A little higher than Hong." Shen Chu-yun smiled when he saw his score. "A little higher?" Hong burst out at full speed and snatched the test papers of the two. "You call 100 higher than 78 a little higher?" Hong said, gritting his teeth as he looked at the scores on the two test papers. "Ziti also got 100, Izumo also got 100. Gang Ziti and Shinayu Izumo were both surprised. They said they would not review and did not do well in the exam. So how could they get 100 points? "Izumo, did you lie to me 2 weeks before the exam? You didn't play any games at all and you were reviewing seriously." Gang Ziti couldn't help asking. "Ziti, you too. You read novels and you're actually reviewing every day." Shinayu Izumo retorted. "You too." Hongdu stared at the two in amazement. It turned out that these two bastards said they would not review, but they were studying secretly. Hongdu couldn't hold it anymore and chased after the two to beat them. "You two bastards, you have ruined me. You're still eating breakfast. Take my punch first." Miyu smiled at the three energetic people, and looked at the rewards that popped up by the system. She felt that the harvest at the end of the semester was very good. This picture is a bit rushed, and it will be modified later. Chapter 73 Holiday Special Training begins. Disciple Uchiha Shisui worked hard to achieve perfect results in the academic assessment, and was rewarded. Chakra plus 300, Ninjutsu Proficiency Scroll. Disciple Might Guy worked hard to achieve excellent results in the academic assessment, and was rewarded. Chakra plus 250. Disciple Uchiha Obito worked hard to achieve good results in the academic assessment, and was rewarded. Chakra plus 200. After calculating the rewards for the final exam, Miyu's total chakra increased slightly again. Name, Hanyu Miyu. Chakra, 12,050. It seems that only the double first can get the proficiency scroll reward, Miyu thought as he looked at the three reward information of the system. Except for Shisui, who was the first in the grade, the rewards of Might Guy and Obito were slightly higher than last time. Last time, the rewards of Might Guy and Obito were only 150 chakras. This time, Might Guy had 100 more chakras and Obito had 50 more chakras. Might Guy and Obito have indeed made a lot of progress, not only in practical combat, but also in theoretical scores, and they can score more than 50. Although the ninjutsu proficiency scroll is a good thing, Miyu is not going to spend too much time on theory to get full marks for Might Guy and Obito. Because their learning efficiency is too low, he often gives private lessons, but Might Guy and Obito only get more than 50 points. Even if it is Red Bin, they can easily get full marks. If he wants Might Guy and Obito to get full marks, Miyu feels that he has to stop all training, let him teach, and let the two read books and do exercises every day. But it is not worth it. It is better to practice normally and become stronger as soon as possible, so that Miyu can get more rewards. Teacher Miyu, the reward I mentioned before. After teaching the two pits a lesson, Red Bin walked in front of Miyu a little embarrassed. "You are embarrassed to ask for rewards after regressing, right?" Miyu put two fingers together and knocked on Red Bin's little head. "No way. The practical test is still the second in the grade. Shisui is too strong and can't beat him at all. Red Bin tried to get away with it. I mean, your theory has declined, 2 points less than last time. Miyu pointed out the facts. He remembered the grades of everyone in the class clearly. Oh, it's all Zidi and Izumo's fault. Hongdu wanted to go back and punch these two scumbags. They actually teamed up to trick her into not having to review. Take it and eat it. If you decline again next time, there will be no more. Miyu finally gave Hongdu the dumplings she needed most. He bought them on the way to school, and everyone in the class had a share. Teacher Miyu is the best. Hongdu took the dumplings and immediately began to praise Miyu's greatness. The atmosphere in Class 1, Grade 1 was pretty good. After seeing the results and getting the test papers, they didn't leave. They chatted in the classroom until noon. At noon, Miyu went to the lecture hall with other teachers to attend a meeting. The teachers of the ninja school also had meetings, but they didn't have many meetings. This meeting was mainly to summarize the teaching work of this semester, and then announce the list of outstanding teachers. For Miyu, this meeting was of little significance. He was different from ordinary ninja school teachers and was not interested in excellent teachers and bonuses. However, it was unexpected that the third generation actually appeared at this meeting. According to Iketani Yong and Wedekai, this meeting was usually held by the class leader of the teacher class, Sandai-sama. Miyu greeted the third generation with a respectful face. The third generation looked at Miyu and nodded with a smile. Since he was not very busy recently, the third generation took a look at the results of Miyu's first-year class. He was shocked. The last result was the only one in the ninja school, but the test results of the first-year class were even better than the last time. The average score of the theoretical score reached an astonishing 81 points, which was already an excellent result in other classes. That is, the average score of the first-year class was excellent. The average score of the practical test was 24 points, which was also a very exaggerated result, because the average score of a normal class was about 16 points. The third generation took a closer look and found that the first-year class was mainly Shinobu's score was very high. No one in the whole class scored less than 8 points, followed by Yin. Miyu brought out such an excellent class, and he, as the principal, had not appeared in the school meeting for a long time, so the third generation came over. Maybe because of the third generation, the meeting went very quickly and there were no episodes. Now let's read out the list of excellent teachers for this semester. Haniu Miyu. Miyu's name was directly ranked first. Teacher Miyu, you are one of them. Wed Ai whispered congratulations. Although Miyu was not moved at all, she responded to her colleagues' congratulations with a gentle smile. Ikugeaya Yong, I am also an excellent teacher. Ikugeaya Yong showed a surprised look. The error-free version is available at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. The students in Ikugeaya Yong's class took the top 2 places in the grade, so he guessed that he might have an excellent teacher. But he was still very surprised when he really got it. This is an excellent teacher. There are only 4 in a semester, and he has been teaching for several years without getting one. Damn, why don't the students in my class suddenly explode? Kimura Shanran envied. He was not envious of Miyu's winning of the Outstanding Teacher Award, because he thought it would be strange if Miyu was not an outstanding teacher. But didn't he know what level Uchiha Shisui was at? He was able to win this Outstanding Teacher Award entirely because of Might Guy and Obito. You complained before that Might Guy and Uchiha Obito were the last, but this Outstanding Teacher Award was all thanks to them. Wed Ai was also very envious. When Uchiha Shisui took over Class 2 of Grade 4, everyone was comforting him. But at the end of the semester, there was such a reversal. I didn't recognize the true genius. Uchiha Shisui admitted that he underestimated Might Guy and Obito. I'll treat you to a drink after the bonus is issued. Teacher Miyu, you must come. You have contributed to this Outstanding Teacher Award. Uchiha Shisui said with a smile. Miyu helped him with too many classes. If you have time, you can. Miyu smiled and nodded. I want to praise Mr. Haniu here. The students in Class 1 of Grade 1 have achieved amazing results under his guidance. Sarutobi Hiruzen began to speak. Then Sarutobi Hiruzen read out the various achievements of Miyu's class. and said that everyone should learn from excellent teachers like Muyu and cultivate the next generation for Konoha. After being praised by the third generation, Muyu could feel that all the teachers were looking at him. Maybe because he had a good image, he did not encounter any vicious and jealous eyes. Everyone was very friendly. Muyu, you were very good. Keep it up. After the meeting, Sarutobi Hiruzen patted Muyu on the shoulder and encouraged him. Sister Sandaime, I will do my best to teach students. Muyu once again said what he said in the principal's office. After hearing this, the third generation laughed twice and seemed to be in a good mood. The end of the meeting also meant that Muyu and other teachers had entered the holiday. Being named an excellent teacher and being praised by the third generation did not affect Muyu's heart. Might Guy did not trigger the training task in the past 2 days, which made Muyu a little confused. Muyu tried to find out that Might Guy had not fought Kakashi yet, so he was relieved. Kakashi may have gone on a mission, and Might Guy has not been found these 2 days. Because it is officially the holiday, Muyu told his disciples about his holiday special training plan. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Please read it. I am recommending it recently. Please read it, and I will add more tomorrow. Chapter 74. The third Kazekage disappears. Holiday special training. It's finally here. Obito took a deep breath, as if he could foresee the miserable experience of the next month and a half. When he was in school, he had 5 days of school time to buffer. Now that he had a long vacation, every day was like a weekend. Obito only hoped that the battle training could return to the way it was before, otherwise there would be more than 200 extra questions a day. When the vacation was over, his life would be over. When he heard about the special training, Might Guy's eyes lit up, but when he thought of the extra questions on the weekend, he felt a huge pressure. Shisui's expression did not change at all. Unlike Might Guy and Obito, he had already mastered the Shadow Clone and had the Shadow Clone go to school. Except for going there once during the exam, Shisui basically practiced with Muyu at other times. So even if Muyu said that he would practice every day during the vacation like on weekends, it would be no different from his usual days. Thursday and Sunday are off, and the rest of the time you come to my place to practice in the morning and afternoon. You can go home at noon. If you don't go home, I will cook, Muyu said. Although he came to Muyu every day when he was in school, except for the weekends, from Monday to Friday, he actually didn't have much time to practice with Muyu. So even if you practice the 5-2 during the holidays, the actual training time is much longer than when you were in school. 2 days off a week, Obito said in surprise. He calculated and found that this seemed to be more relaxed than when he was in school. When he was in school, he had to go to class from Monday to Friday, and he had to go to Muyu to practice, and practice all day at Muyu's place on weekends. Also, stop the battle practice. Obito, you continue to practice the nature change of fire attribute chakra, and Shisui, Kai and I will learn to shave. Muyu said the new training plan for the holiday. During the training task of the junior ninjutsu competition, Obito practiced the nature change for a while, but he only mastered the basics, and he had to continue to practice. Obito did not have Naruto's vitality and chakra, so he could not use the multiple shadow clone training method, and could only do it in a circular and progressive manner. No need for battle practice. If the 2-day holiday surprised Obito, then the suspension of battle training completely made Obito like long holidays. Without battle training, there would be no large number of questions. Although practicing nature change was tiring, he would rather practice nature change than doing questions. After the training tasks were arranged, the disciples began their own training. Obito held a large ice block and continuously released chakra, while Shisui, Might Guy and Muyu were learning to shave. Watching Muyu leading Shisui and Might Guy to dodge, Obito, who was holding the ice block, felt the coolness of the ice block flowing along the meridians of his hand to his heart. Mr. Muyu, what is the physical challenge you mentioned before? I also want to learn the instant body technique, Obito couldn't help asking. He remembered that Muyu said that in addition to getting the first place in the grade, completing the physical challenge he arranged could also learn to shave. But at that time, Muyu directly said that Obito could not complete it, so Obito did not ask what the specific challenge was. But in the past month, his strength has improved a lot, and maybe he can complete the challenge mentioned by Muyu. Physical challenge. That's very difficult. Are you sure you want to try? Muyu split a shadow clone to communicate with Obito. But everyone is learning that instant body technique. If I don't learn it, I will fall behind. Obito said. Well, I will set up the venue today, and you will try the challenge tomorrow. Muyu nodded and said. Obito's actions were within his expectations. The reason why he didn't teach shaving to all the disciples directly, but restricted the conditions, was to strengthen the training of the failed disciple. Rather than forcing training directly, he thought it would be better to find a way to motivate the disciples. He would set up some mechanisms that could not be completed without sufficient speed and strength. At that time, Obito would definitely work hard to train his body in order to learn shaving. When the challenge was completed and the body became stronger, it would be easier to practice shaving. Moreover, Obito would study more seriously for this kind of reward obtained through his own efforts. After all, it was not easy to get. In order to make the disciples better strengthen their strength, Muyu really considered all aspects, including the psychology of the students. After the training, Muyu went to the house in the main city as usual. Today he made sushi and tempura. However, there was a small episode during the meal. When the three of them were eating and chatting in a good atmosphere, an eagle cry came from outside. Why at this time? Kushina, who had just finished a sushi, was a little unhappy. Let's go. It's so sudden, something big must have happened. Minato stood up and said, Sorry, Muyu, we have to leave for a while. The Jounin meeting is urgently held. Whenever Konoha has something important, they will send out ninja beasts to notify the Jounin urgently. This is not the first time that Minato has experienced it. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar is the first to publish this novel. Muyu, remember to leave some for us. This kind of meeting usually doesn't last long. With Minato's speed, we will be back soon. Kushina didn't forget to ask Muyu to leave some food before leaving. I can't finish so much by myself. Muyu smiled and nodded. He was guessing in his heart that something big had happened. According to the timeline, Muyu guessed that it would be something related to the Third Ninja World War. Is the war going to break out? Muyu thought. Kushina and Minato didn't let Muyu wait too long. The two came back in less than half an hour. I thought something big had happened, but it turned out that the third Kazekage of Sand Village disappeared. Kushina complained as soon as she entered the room. They are so anxious to hold a meeting of the Jounin. If you don't know, you might think that the third Hokage of Konoha has disappeared. Hearing what Kushina said, Muyu secretly thought that a war was about to break out. The Hidden Cloud Village, which had already accumulated strength, was already ready to move. The third Kazekage disappeared at this time, and the Hidden Cloud Village would not miss this good opportunity. No matter which cage, it has an important impact on the situation of the ninja world. The sudden disappearance of the third Kazekage will most likely lead to a war. Unlike Kushina, Minato's expression was a little solemn. Indeed, the Hidden Sand Village will be miserable this time. Kushina nodded, picked up a sushi and took a big bite. Listening to the conversation between the two, Muyu felt subtle. Probably no one could have imagined that the Third Shinobi World War, which was opened by the disappearance of the third Kazekage, was the worst beating of Konoha. Although it won in the end, the war was about to break out, and Muyu felt even less safe. He could only say that fortunately he was a hidden player of the route. Even if Danzo had a brain attack and wanted to send his men to send him, he would be the last one to send him. Muyu did not hold a glimmer of hope for Danzo. He only hopes that he can improve his strength to the so-called cage level before the flames of war burn to Konoha. Strength is the most important thing in this dangerous world. Without strength, everything is empty talk. It is important to catch up on reading on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. Don't keep reading recently. Chapter 75, Physical Challenge and Summer Training. There are 2 levels in the physical challenge. The first one is the forest sprint. I have set up a lot of traps in a certain area of the forest. Each time you are trapped or hit by a trap, you will be deducted 1 point. After deducting 3 points, it is considered a failure. There are 3 chances. Obito felt that the challenge Muyu mentioned was not very difficult. Laying traps is also one of the courses that ninjas have to learn. and Obito is not unfamiliar with this. And I will send a shadow clone that is slightly slower than you to follow you. If you are too slow and caught by the shadow clone, it will be considered a failure. Miyu added, if you walk slowly step by step, it will naturally be easy to avoid the trap, but it may not be possible if there is someone chasing you from behind. And there is your shadow clone chasing you from behind, Teacher Miyu. Obito suddenly felt that it was not that simple. As long as you can keep a good speed, the shadow clone can't catch up with you, Miyu said with a smile. Then Teacher Miyu, take me to challenge it once. Obito wanted to try it first. Well, I'll give you the challenge fee first. Miyu took out 3 test papers and said, there are about 100 questions here. Just consider it as the fee for starting the challenge. Obito was dumbfounded when he saw the test papers handed over by Miyu. It was actually a paid challenge. But why was it Miyu who paid him? Teacher Miyu, I don't think this is right. How can a boss give money to customers? Why don't I give you 3 test papers as challenge fees? Obito was a little dizzy when he saw the 3 test papers and began to talk nonsense. Snap! Miyu put 2 fingers together and knocked on the unconscious Obito and laughed. You think it takes time for me to set up the venue? If I don't pay you a little, if you fail once and keep pestering me to challenge, I will be exhausted from setting up traps. Obito, who was knocked, suddenly cleared his mind and showed an embarrassed smile. He felt that what Miyu said made sense. Teacher Miyu, thank you for your hard work. Obito stood on the stone and massaged Miyu's shoulders. But I think the numbers 103 are both bad, but 2 is pretty good. How about we discuss and just do 2 questions? I promise not to trouble you too much, Mr. Miyu. Please try harder, Miyu suggested. What about the questions? Obito was delighted. No problem. If you really like the number 2, then change it to 250 questions. Miyu smiled kindly. Well, actually I also like 3 and 100. Obito changed his face at the speed of light and immediately changed his words. Stop talking nonsense. I'll take you to the challenge. Miyu grabbed Obito and used the razor to quickly take Obito to the challenge location. Obito looked around for a while, but he didn't find anything different from other places in the forest, except that the trees were thicker. You just need to keep walking east to reach the end. My shadow clone will start to move 3 seconds after you start. Miyu pointed in a direction and said. Hearing Miyu's words, Obito nodded, took a deep breath and ran out at full speed. While running, he looked back at the shadow clone worriedly. However, if you don't pay attention to the road when running, the consequences are very serious. Obito stepped directly on the rope trap set by Miyu and was hung on the tree. 1 point deduction. Miyu's warm voice came into Obito's ears. One more thing, if you don't get rid of the trap quickly, the shadow clone will set off. Hearing Miyu's words, at this moment, Obito remembered the ticket fee for his 100 questions. He must not fall down at the door like this. This is a full 3 papers. Obito burst out his abdominal strength, did a handstand crunch, grabbed the rope directly with his hands and burned it, and then ran all the way to the east. After suffering a loss, Obito paid special attention to the situation of the land. As long as there was a little unnatural, he would not step on it. It seems that as long as I am serious, this challenge is not difficult. After running for a minute without being trapped again, Obito smiled. But the next moment, Obito couldn't laugh. He didn't touch anything, and suddenly several thickwoods hit him, swinging back and forth quickly like a swing. Obito finally knew why Miyu said that he couldn't complete it at that time. That is, Obito was used to Kakashi's instant body kicking him, so his reaction speed increased. If he had come a month ago, he would have been knocked away by the wood. Although Obito was able to avoid the attack of the mechanism, his speed slowed down and he was caught by the shadow clone that followed him, and the challenge failed. I should have been hit, so I would have lost 1 point. Obito was a little annoyed. In fact, he could have been faster just now. Why can't I make myself faster and react faster, so that I can pass through the mechanism area faster? Miyu reminded. His challenge was not to train Obito's ability to take a beating. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. The challenge to get the shave was to train Obito's corresponding ability so that he could better practice the shave. If I could know the instant body technique, I would definitely be able to flash through all the mechanisms in an instant and pass through. Obito came to a conclusion after thinking. Go and practice quickly. Miyu said that it was a good idea and he should not think about it next time. Since today is Saturday, Miyu went to Asuma's house in the afternoon and prepared to take Asuma to start this week's practice. Sister Sandame, Miyu found that Sarutobi Hiruzen was actually at home, so she greeted him. When Miyu arrived, Sarutobi Hiruzen was sitting on a chair in the living room, puffing out smoke, as if thinking about something. Come to take Asuma to practice, he is waiting for you in the backyard. Sarutobi Hiruzen took off the pipe in his mouth and responded with a smile. Suddenly Sarutobi Hiruzen remembered Miyu's outrageous results yesterday, and suddenly asked, Miyu, if there is a war in the ninja world and Konoha is also involved, what will you do? Miyu thought about it and replied with a smile, as a teacher, I will give special training to students to enhance their strength and do my best to enhance the strength of the village. As a Konoha ninja, I am willing to fight for the village. Based on the news that the third Kazekage disappeared yesterday, combined with his own demonstrated abilities, Miyu vaguely guessed Sarutobi Hiruzen's thoughts. Miyu not only didn't mind the third Kazekage's thoughts, he was even worried that he was thinking too much, and deliberately guided the third Kazekage to continue talking in the direction he wanted. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. He was very satisfied with Miyu's answer. Then Sarutobi Hiruzen told Miyu that the third Kazekage had disappeared and the war would soon break out. I think we can gather the fourth-year students who are about to graduate and conduct special summer training to enhance their strength. Students with outstanding performance and other grades can also join in. Miyu gave his suggestion. In this way, Obito and others can have more intensive training, and he can continue to earn rewards for class. There will be 2 more chapters in the evening. Please vote for me and read on. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.